Hey guys, welcome to Trail North Podcast. We have kind of a unique setup, obviously. As you can see, we're in a different location. Got a very special guest this week. This is actually my grandfather. I'm going to give his intro and we'll just jump into it because I have a feeling this is going to be a little bit longer than our standard podcasts. So, this is Colonel Raymond Vissotzky. He served in the United States Air Force from 1953 to 1974. He flew numerous aircraft, most of which were fighters, most notably the F-105 Thunder Chief, or the Thud. He was a POW between November 19th, 1967 and March 18th, 1973 for more than 6 years in Vietnam. A large portion of that was in the Hanoi Hilton. When he got back, he was offered a position at one of the survival schools, well, the main survival school, and turned that down to spend more time with his family. So thanks, Papa, for doing this. I appreciate it.
Quite welcome.
A little hullabaloo setting everything up.
It takes forever.
Yeah. But it's okay. We got everything working. So I guess let's start with your childhood. Let's start there. Where were you born?
I was born in Stoughton, Massachusetts, 12th of July, 1929. And I went through the normal schools, public schools. And my dad he had a grocery store and a meat market. And that was in Stoughton. And we would spend our summers at Stetson Pond down towards the Cape, not too far from Plymouth. We had the best childhood that I think you could ever imagine. We about had the lake to ourselves. It wasn't a big lake, but it was about maybe 100 acres, and loaded with bass and pike and perch and
Wow.
the.
Could you hunt all around it and everything too?
No, I didn't. We didn't have a place there. I didn't start hunting until I was probably in about 12, 13.
Okay.
And in public schools, I stayed at Stoughton, went to Stoughton High School, and I went through my freshman year, and then my dad decided that we should get a better education than you would at public schools by going to a private school. So my brother and I, he was a year older than I was, we went to Farragut Academy, which is pretty much a prep school for the Naval Academy.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much everything that you did was similar to what they did there.
How old were you when you did this?
I was I was a sophomore in high school. I went there for 3 years, and it was one of these schools you grew part of, and I don't know of anybody that didn't enjoy their stay there. And after that, when I graduated from Farragut, I went to St. Anselm's College in New Hampshire, Manchester, New Hampshire, which is a Catholic college. You can either be prepared to be a priest there, or you can take they do a lot of the sciences, like pre-med or what have you.
Oh, was that what you were going for?
Pardon me?
Were you going for pre-med or?
I was my dad and my mother and I thought that maybe at that time I'd become a dentist, and I would then go for that pre-med degree.
Yeah.
And a lot of biology, chemistry, science, and I enjoyed those, but I wasn't a very good student as far as taking exams.
Okay.
And
I think that probably runs in the family.
So I went that to St. Anselm's for a couple of years, and then I followed my brother. He was going to go to West Point. He had an appointment, but he was the first alternate at that time.
Sure.
And so he went down to visit a friend in San Antonio, Texas, and there was a little college there that he seemed to like, and so he applied there, wasn't accepted, and Trinity University, and that was in San Antonio. And he liked it so well, he called me. He says, "You got to come down here." So I left St. Anselm's in my sophomore years and went down to Trinity, and I stayed there till I was till I graduated. And right after I graduated, I went into pilot training.
Well, let's pause. Let's pause there. I want to jump back to that, but let's go back to childhood again, because I was told to ask about your adventures with your cousin Walter. You guys got into some trouble, it sounds like.
Well, we never got into what you call serious trouble.
Sure.
We got into trouble with our parents.
How old were you?
It's as far as I can remember back.
Okay.
And we had the trick of when we came home late or went places where we shouldn't have gone, and most of the time was either fishing or school, or just fooled around.
Okay.
And but when we came late, we always brought flowers to my mother, and she thought that was cute. We got off the hook, and that was one of the things. But while I was while we were on Stetson Pond, pretty much had the lake to ourselves. There weren't many kids our age there, and so I spent most of my time fishing.
Sure.
And
there was a story that somebody had mentioned about you guys going dragging a boat all the way to the harbor or something, and getting out there and almost getting run over by a barge or a boat or something.
Oh, this was before I this is in I believe it was either spring or fall before we went down to the pond for summer. I was about 12 or 13 at that time, and my dad had a small rowboat. It was just about a 10-foot pram.
Okay.
And we put a 3-horse motor on it, and then that we knew where there was good striper fishing, and that was right outside of Boston Harbor. Well, and we'd take off from Revere Beach, and the stripers, they mostly people caught them at night.
Okay.
And we had about a 2-mile trip across Boston Harbor, and the tides were coming in and out all the time.
Yeah.
And in this area that we were, there were all kinds of tramp steamers and cargo ships going in and out. And so we had to dodge those on the way in or out. And the last time I went there, I caught a striped bass that was probably about 20 pounds.
Wow.
And in that little boat with little Walter, we didn't have any space.
Yeah.
And that about brought us, with the weight of us in that little boat, we probably had about 2 inches of freeboard where, and so we had caught the fish. It was getting late, and so we started back to where we parked the boat and parked the car. And as we were putting along, a big steamer was coming towards us. Yeah. And it didn't look like we were going fast enough to get out of the way. And it was black as could be. And we saw that coming and the bow waves, and we were able to.
So they didn't see you or anything?
No, it was black.
Too
it was midnight.
Night.
It was midnight, and we could see it coming. and there was no horns tooting or anything like that from a boat.
They had no idea.
They had no idea. And if they wanted to turn, I don't think there was enough room to turn. And so we barely missed them. And when the boat went by, it left a pretty good wave, and it started these whirlpools in the current. The whirlpools were maybe 3 or 4 feet across.
Wow.
And we come close to going in one or two of them, and we skirted the edge and would circle around, not because we drove that way, that's the way we went. And so we made it past that and back home, and next day we paraded that fish around.
Sure.
And enjoyed being heroes. We never told them about the steamer or where we went.
Mm-hmm.
And so nobody knew that we were it was stupid to go out there, but it was.
And so you were 12 again, 12 or 13.
And that was an adventure. That's
Yeah.
one of the big adventures. Little Walter and I, we had a lot of adventures, not while we were in serious trouble like that, but we had our granite quarries all through New England where I grew up. And most of those were full of water and just about bottomless, but water was very clear. We go fishing in those things. And people sometimes had put fish in there, but we definitely swam in there. But everywhere we went, we never told anybody. And another time, little Walter and I, we took an old beat-up rowboat, and we had a lake about 2 miles from where our cottage was, and it was a reservoir for Boston, water reservoir. So you weren't allowed to fish or even go anywhere close, and no swimming or anything. And there were very few houses around it, and it was a big lake. And at one end there was a swamp, and it flowed into the lake. And there was a big sandbar coming on either side of the lake where high water had brought the sand in there. Nice beach sand. So you had 100 yards of sand crossing where the stream came in from the swamp.
Okay.
And so we knew there were fish in the swamp, and we caught those, but we wanted bigger fish. And so one of the things that we did was we'd get out on the middle of the beach where there was you could see anybody coming from either side for a long way. So we felt pretty safe out there. And we would get a board or something like that, set our bait on it and let the current take it out to the middle of the lake or far enough to fish. And we'd pull it off, and it would sink. And we always caught good fish in there, big ones. Wow. And so usually after we've been there about an hour or so, we'd hear a door slam from an automobile, and we could see this man approaching the edge of the beach about 50, 75 yards from us. And we knew who it was. He was a caretaker for the lake.
Uh-huh.
And we knew that we were going to get in trouble, so we'd go up the swamp and get away from him. Pretty soon, it was too tough on us, so we didn't want to get up there and wade around in that swamp. So we had a rowboat back home, and we decided that we would bring the boat to the swamp and the lake. And the only way that it was too big for us to manhandle, so we made a couple of logs, and we got the boat on there. And of course, we're pulling the boat, and he'd be rolling on the logs, and you have to get out and grab one of those logs and stick it out in front of the boat, and so we could go. But so Well, that was quite a distance to haul that boat through the woods and everything else, but we got it situated in the swamp. And so that was good for us because whenever that guy showed up to kick us out of that lake, we'd get in the boat and go in the swamp. He couldn't catch us. And then he tried to trap us on the way home.
Oh man.
And so he'd park his car in an old roadway and wait for us to come out because that was the road that we took out.
Mm-hmm.
But we were too smart for that. And we'd peek ahead and we'd see this car waiting for us. And so we make a detour around that area. And finally got so that we got to a blacktop road that led to where our cottage was. And he'd be waiting for that and waiting for us there in the woods. And so we'd gently walk across the road and he were front of where he was parked, quite a ways, maybe 100 yards, and walk like we were going nowhere. And the minute we got on the other side, we ran as fast as we could through other people's properties and made it to our lake. And of course, we had our boat waiting with a little outboard, and we escaped from him. He never saw us, but we never thought he ever knew us.
Yeah,
he knew the parents,
sure.
and he knew who we were. We didn't know who. And of course, he'd report every now and then that what we were doing, and he laughed about us outsmarting him.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought we were pretty bright about it, but we never seriously got in trouble. But that was one of the adventures that we had. And
did you I was curious, when did you feel like you wanted to go into the military or to become a pilot? Were those adventures kind of?
When I was 1 year old, 1 year.
Yeah.
They had what they had was for kids to read. They called them big little books, little thick things.
Okay.
And a lot of those were about flying in World War One.
Oh.
And little stories about the aces and all that. And that's what I got the bug that I wanted to fly and I wanted to be an ace.
So you always wanted to
all
fly.
my life.
Oh.
And so I knew that it was going to be impossible, but now comes the World War II, and I knew some people that were pilots in the Air Force, and one of them was shot down, captured for a while, and came out, and they would tell me the stories of what happened to them, what they did, and that just, I knew I was going to be better than that, and I was going to be an ace. And what they went through didn't bother me. It just excited me a little bit more. And so the Korean War was going on, and I was about to get drafted. Mm-hmm. They had a program, if you signed up, if you had 2 years of college and you signed up for the aviation cadets, you would get a 6 months deferment from the draft. Mm. And so every 6 months, for 2 years, when my 6 months came out, I went down and enlisted again, got that deferment, and I worked my way through deferments to get out of the Korean War. And then the minute I graduated from college,
so we're back to about.
I was back I went to aviation cadets and got my wings.
Gotcha. So we're about where you started with the story now. So you went to school and you've gone to pilot school now.
But yeah, I went through the program for aviation cadets and graduated, and still the Korean War had about a year to go, but we thought it was going to go forever. And we had a few openings for flying the F-86, which was the aircraft that I would, if I were to be an ace, I would fly. That was our aircraft that the Air Force using. And I went through F-86 training, And the war ended right after I got my wings.
Oh, well.
And meanwhile, while at college, I met my future wife there, Joe. And while I went into training, I went to the first part of my training was in August, was in Georgia, and spent 6 months there. And then I was transferred for the actual jet flying. I was flying at T6s when I was in Georgia, then got checked out in the F-20, T-28, which they eventually used in Vietnam as a air-to-ground aircraft. But I went into jet training after that, and we flew the T-33. When I graduated from T-33, I had the choice of what aircraft I wanted to fly, and so I put in to go to the F-86, and Korea, and the war ended, and so I ended up flying the F-86D, which was an all-weather interceptor.
Mm.
It was made by the same company that flew the same as the F-86 day fighter. And although it was configured for all-weather flying, it had a radar nose, and the job was to intercept wherever you were stationed, working with the radars of the country. And if they had a airliner or somebody that was coming into our shores that wasn't reported, we would take off day or night, weather or bad, and go out and intercept them and get the information we needed. And generally it was an airliner that was off course or hadn't filed properly.
Yeah.
And but we didn't know that, and they didn't know that, so they sent us out there. So we made sure that every aircraft that was unaccounted for somebody in there in the air defense system would intercept them. And so I was sent to Payne Air Force Base north of Seattle, and we had one little squadron on that particular base. And I stayed there for a couple of years and got all kinds of training for all the time that I got over 1,000 hours.
Wow.
in the 2.5 years that I was there, and half of that was weather time and night weather.
Mm.
And when you flew at night and you were in like monsoon, like thunderstorms, it was something. And but we got to be good at it. We made a couple 0-0 landings where the fog had rolled in, and you're coming down final using your instruments, and landed without even seeing the ground.
Wow.
And so got pretty good at that. And that happened quite often. So I went from Payne Field over to Geiger Field in Spokane, Washington, was there for about 1.5 years. And then somebody said, anybody want to go to Alaska? I raised my hand, and they said, you're going to have to fly F-89s. And I didn't want to, that's an old airplane. But I wanted to go to Alaska worse. And so we packed up and went to Alaska, and I was stationed at Ladd Field in Fairbanks, Alaska.
And at this point, you and Jojo had married.
Oh, we'd already married, and we had 5 children by that time.
Oh, man.
And the oldest one was just starting junior high, and the other one just barely started school. And we were in Spokane, where I was flying out of Geiger Field, and and so we rented a place, and we waiting for her to go overseas, not knowing where we were going to go. We finally got the word that we were going to go to Alaska. and enjoyed that. And we went up the all. Uh, Now, getting back earlier, when I found out that we were going to go to Alaska, we only had two children at that time.
Mm.
We had the oldest boy, John, and he was about 5 or 6. And she was pregnant with, Joe was pregnant with the second one, and he was born in the territory of Alaska.
Yeah.
And then we had Nanette, who was born right after the Alaska became a state.
She was
So we had one of the
first.
kids.
Yeah.
Probably.
She was the first, or one of the first.
Well, she was the first of the girls.
Yeah. Well, one of the first children born when Alaska became
I
a
would
state,
say she was probably among the first 20th or 30th
Wow.
child born in the state of Alaska.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so my assignment when we left Alaska, actually, while I was in Alaska, I was able to kill a moose, and
That's a good story. We might want to tell that one.
yeah,
That one and maybe the Dall sheep
also
as
a
well.
Dall sheep.
Yeah.
And they were probably the best hunts you could ever ask for. But
That moose you had to go underwater for, didn't you?
well, not really. You want that story now?
Yeah, we can tell that story.
The first year I was in Alaska, you couldn't get a big game license for a year. Mm-hmm. And so the second year comes rolling around, and I was able to get a big game license for sheep and moose, and didn't know where to go and where I'd have a good chance. And because you had to go a long ways to where they were.
Yeah.
And so had a sort of an uncle up there that worked up on the base, and he'd visit us all the time. And he was living in Alaska for the previous 20 years. And he was actually had a job in the boilers that heated all the buildings on the field, and central heat. And it was all built by the Russians.
Did the field that was built by the Russians?
And meanwhile, before he did that, he trapped and hunted and fished all over Alaska, and was one of the first settlers over there in Alaska. And so he knew all the bigwigs, and very friendly with them, and had worked with them many times. And one thing we remember about that, Wally Post, the aviator that was flying around the world, Stanley was, we called him Uncle Stanley. He was on the dock. We had pictures of him on the dock with Wiley Post, and the Wiley Post was about to start his trip from Alaska around the world, and of course he never showed up anywhere. And that's the last pictures of him taken. Wow. And so anyways, getting back to Stanley, Stanley knew everybody in Alaska of importance. And one especially was an old guy that worked in the boilers with him that used to caretake for some of the gold mines that were closed. So he knew a spot up in the Wrangell Mountains where he was caretaker for 2 or 3 years for this gold mine. It was out of business and closed, but he knew there were some sheep up there. And so I got some aerial maps of that area, and I knew the right place to go. And so a friend of mine and I decided we're going to go after a Dall sheep, and it's supposed to be a pretty good area. And so we drove up there. We had to get into the first range, past the first range of mountains, and up into the valley and the high country where the sheep were. And we get up there a little early, a day or two ahead of time. So we figured we'd go up there and scout the area. So we didn't take any food with us, and we had our packs with our sleeping bags, and we had a tent that he had half, I had half, and one that we would snap together and be up there. So we hiked up there, but not expecting to find anything we didn't know. So we wanted to check out the area a day ahead of time.
Sure.
And so we started out going up that dry creek bed, get up into where there was shale, and all of a sudden it started raining. And when dark came by, we weren't anywhere near the top of the mountain where we wanted to go. So we spent that night on a shale slide. I had a new 300 Weatherby rifle, and that was out in the rain all night long. And finally we made it in the morning, and we went up to where we wanted to go and looked down into this valley, a basin. We were on a little ledge pretty near at the top of the ridge, and down below it was this gigantic valley, and it was just dotted with sheep. And so we spotted one group of sheep that were big and had the horns. Most in Alaska, you had to have a full curl in order for it to be legal to shoot. And we figured out that in the morning we'd get up and we'd split up. He'd get on one side and I'd get on the other side. And we're working our way into where the sheep were, and they were there the next morning. And so they left before daylight and got into our positions, and we flipped the coin. He was to get first shot, and so he shot, and his rifle somehow had got damaged on the way up there, and it didn't shoot straight at all. And so he missed his sheep. And so she took off and started up the mountain, and I should have shot then, but I didn't. I thought I'd be able to catch them up, and they're just grazing as they go up the mountain. And I followed them all day long until I got at the top of the mountain, and they couldn't climb any higher. And then the habit of a sheep, as they were in trouble like that, they climb. When they get up to the top of the mountain, can't climb anymore, they don't know what to do. And so I followed this sucker. There were 5 or 6 in that group, all full curls and big. And got to the top where they were. I got within 75 yards of them, and they were just milling around, and 1 or 2 of them lay down, and I glassed every one as closely as I could see to figure out who was the biggest, who had the best horns. And finally, the one that I chose, and even though they were all the same, I picked that one. And so he was laying down facing me and not very far away. And then I didn't know where to shoot him because I didn't want to shoot him anywhere in the chest part because that's where I'm just going to mount that thing. and so I could shoot. The only place where I felt as if I could shoot was when he breathed, his sides would go out and back in when he exhaled and out. And I timed it so I shot right I figured on a glancing blow on his ribs. And so I shot, and I blew out 3 or 4 ribs. He got up, looked around a little bit, and laid down again, dropped his head. He was dead.
Wow.
And the bullet never entered him. It just glanced off, but I'd taken out 2 or 3 ribs.
How far a shot was that?
It was only about 60, 70-yard shot.
So you got close.
Oh, I got real close.
Yeah.
And So now,
So now you got to take them back down.
yeah, that's the hard part. Well, I tried 2 trips, and then I was, because I followed them through up the mountain. We went the long way,
Mm.
and down to where we were camped was straight down, and it was there was a sort of a cliff there where you had to reach with your toes to find out where the next spot to put your feet in,
Yeah.
so to get down that cliff. And there's about 20 foot of sheer drop off.
Wow.
And I caped out the animal, had the head with the cape, and started down, having to feel my way down. And meanwhile, where I shot the animal was shale, and when you walked on it, the whole area would slide on that shale.
Mm.
And like I was lucky that I didn't go over the edge then when I was fooling around trying to clean them out. And so started down, and at one point I had to hook the horns into a crevice and use the horns to get me a couple of feet so I could find a place to put my feet.
Wow.
And I was stupid had going down there, but I wasn't known for being brilliant. And so I made it down. I got down below, and it was around midnight. And I was exhausted, and my buddy, and where we camped was up another 500 to 1,000 feet up this side of this peak. And I guess he heard me coming. And of course, you could hear it everywhere.
Mm.
All those
The
stones
shale,
rattling and rumbling and everything else coming up. And he could hear me coming. So when I climbed up over the edge of the little plateau that we were camped on, he had a cup of coffee waiting for me. And so it had to have been past midnight. It had been dark for a long time. And finally I got that sheep up on there, and went up and brought it up there. And we had no food left. We only brought food for one day.
Hmm.
And that night, I had Lipton soup for dinner.
Lipton soup.
A little package of soup with noodles.
Yeah.
That was it. And we shared that. And a couple of bouillon cubes.
Wow. You didn't throw any of the sheep in there?
Huh?
You didn't boil any of the sheep in there or anything?
No. And so next day we got fogged in. I was able to go down and get up to where I got the sheep and got as much meat as I could and put it in little cheesecloth bags. And I was whittling the meat off the bones, and I didn't bring any bones back, but I had a number of good sacks of meat. And it was against the law to leave an animal up there and just take the hood and the horns. You got to bring out the animal. Yeah. So I brought up enough to make it legal. And meanwhile, it fogged in up there. We spent the whole day, me going down and going up and finding that sheep and bringing it back. And so it was too foggy to go down to where the cars were because we were ready to get out. And my buddy hadn't shot an animal yet, but we'd been out there long enough. And so he said, well, I'll wait this night out this afternoon, and you go down there and bring the meat down and your head. And so to the car. So I made it all the way down and had a fire going, and it was dark, and I could hear him coming for about an hour. He come down the mountain and followed me, and meanwhile on the way down he shot a full curl sheep. And so he brought that down, and so next day we went up and put that in bags and gutted it out and started home. And as it was, on the drive out, there was about 70 miles of dirt road to main highway. And we made a game warden and he checked our stuff and we were okay. Let us go home. And that was that. That was the end of the sheep hunt.
Yeah.
And so we brought that to the taxidermist at the place where we could get the meat processed.
Yep.
And we were going to go
Yeah. And you got
moose
that.
hunting.
Yeah. You got that one mounted here in the house, that sheep, right?
Yes, and it's a dandy.
It is.
And that year, it was one of the biggest sheep shot in Alaska that year.
Wow.
And it was just bordering on being a Boone and Crockett trophy.
Wow.
And I think we were about an inch shy of the measurements, which, even though it wasn't a Boone and Crockett, it was awful close.
Yeah, yeah.
And
that antelope I got a few
was
years ago,
yeah,
like somebody told me that's a Boone and Crockett. They were just looking at the thickness, so
yeah,
they want me to bring it in and get it measured. Antelope are weird though. They all look very similar, and you can be really close, and it doesn't take much to knock it over into Boone and Crockett measurements.
Anyways, so we decided, we knew that we were going to go elk hunting. So we ate up, we had 2 weeks off. We ate up the first week on our sheep hunt, and we were successful. And a friend of mine and I had built this river boat. It was a blunt end, 16-foot long, wide boat. And we had a 25 horsepower, a 25 horse motor on that. And it was designed where we had a contraption we put on the rear end. You could raise or lower the motor straight up. And if you got too shallows, you could just raise it up, and you still had enough of the prop in the water to keep you going. And so that allowed us to get into much shallower water than most boats. And I had heard that this river, which was hard to get to because we were in the Yukon River area, and people went in there and they said, you got a good chance of getting the moose. So decided to go there. And so we found the entrance where we could get into the Yukon River, and I was able to back my truck. It wasn't a truck, it was a Ford ranch wagon, station wagon, one of the first ones. And I was able to back that in, and we had the boat on the trailer. And I backed that in, and we were able to float the boat off and started up the Yukon, went maybe 15 to 20 miles and come to where there was a smaller river that came into it. And that was a Good Pasture River. That was the name of it. And so we started up there, went up about an hour or so, and off to one side was a moose, a big bull. And
first
few hours. Uh-huh. And so we pulled in short, got behind a log and flipped again to see who would shoot first. I lost. And so he got the first shot off, and I saw his bullet miss that moose by 20 feet, splashed in the water. Now I could start shooting, and my Weatherby was on, and now the moose started running in the water. Mm-hmm. And as it's galloping along over there, it looked like he was in ankle deep water. Wow. And so I put the crosshairs right below his nose, right in front of his nose, and down below about chest high, and let one off, and he didn't go down. And so I put another in the chamber and fired off at the same place. Mm-hmm. Because we get pretty excited at that time. And all of a sudden that moose reared up on his hind legs, spun around, and dropped with his 4 feet in the air.
Oh, man.
And the depth of the water, which looked like it was a bit ankle deep, was thigh deep. to me.
Yeah.
And I howled. And we tried to tow that thing on shore. We couldn't pull it on shore. We couldn't attach the motor to it and drag it into the middle of the river where we could find a good place to take it out.
Yeah.
And so had to gut it out inside
In the water.
in the water. And I would, as you know, when you gut out something like that, you're inside, you got to cut the guts away from the backbone.
Yeah.
And so I had to reach up in there. In order to do that, I had to take my breath and get my head partially underwater.
Go in the water, 'cause
And so it took forever to gut that thing out. And while I'd do that and go up into the chest cavity of this moose, my buddy was hanging on to my ankles. And if he thought I was in there long enough, he'd pull me out. But I never had to. I was able to do that. And so we gutted him out. And now we thought it'd be a lot lighter to bring up on shore. Well, we couldn't move him.
Mm.
And so we decided to cut him in half.
Wow.
And amongst the pack that we had was our survival knife, which was designed for cutting ice and making igloo if you went down.
Mm.
And it had big teeth in it, like one of these 2-man crosscut saws.
Uh-huh.
And but it was about 3 foot long and had a handle on that thing. And so I was able to split that moose down the middle with that saw. So we got the thing in half. We left the hide on it because I wasn't gonna get that meat soured with the water.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so cut him in half. Well, and decided we weren't going to do that. And there was a steep bank on the other side. The water was deep. So we climbed across there, had a couple of come-alongs, and attached them to a tree on the other side, and got that half. No, found out we couldn't move the half. And I had to cut the hind legs off of it.
Yeah.
Cut them over there, and we were able to move the hind legs, but from the loins forward, we couldn't do anything. Now we got the 2 halves over there, and the animal with his head still on it.
Uh-huh.
And cut the head off, and now we had that thing in 6 pieces. And we were able to drag it across the river piece by piece and up this bank, and hung it and climbed the trees and hung each section of that moose about 20 feet in the air. And we were in big bear country.
Yeah, yeah.
And we were working against the clock to get that thing in the air so that we knew that it would attract bears.
Yeah.
And this was a place well known for bears.
Sure, sure.
And so we got the things up in the trees, and it was, by that time we did it was dark. And so slept that night. And then we had parked the boat underneath it where we could lower the sections into the boat. And there was so much weight, and the hair was still on the moose, and it was soaked full of water, and there was no room for much of a wave before it came in and filled up the boat when we'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
But we had no choice.
Sure.
And so we get the thing on, and we floated down the Cass River and hit the Yukon River, which is full of nothing but blow down trees.
Yeah.
And stumps and all hidden water. And how we made it down there to where the car and the trailer was, where it was just pure luck. And so we got to back and the car was still attached to the trailer down in the water, backed up in there.
Yeah.
And so the only way that could get on the boat on the trailer, because the winch wasn't strong enough. And so I get the boat going as fast as I could and ran it up onto the trailer, and we got it up there where we could attach it.
Wow. And
now we had to pull that thing out of the river. And luckily the traction was good. We were able to do that. But meanwhile, when we were coming down the river, we were both sitting on the moose. and the head was Well, the horns and auto were up front, and we weren't in the boat at all. We were on the moose,
Yeah.
and so we did that. That was the adventure.
Whatever happened to that moose? The head and everything.
Well, the first thing we did was when we get into Fairbanks, we stopped at the place where they processed meat,
Mm-hmm.
and so they took that thing. It was dark out. We banged on the door. It was hunting season, so they were working all night long, and so they grabbed that thing and we wheeled it off to the side. They put it on their little runners and wheeled
Yeah.
the 6 pieces up into there. We told them how we wanted it cut and left it there. And so we made it home. And when time came, they processed that. But the adventure we had on that moose hunt and the sheep hunt was one that you could never imagine happening.
Whatever happened to the antlers of that moose?
There was a taxidermist there.
Yeah.
And
because you don't have it anymore.
I don't know. I gave the antlers to him because in my mind I was gonna get a bigger one.
Yeah.
And so we promised to go hunting again, and so I gave him the horns, and we brought the heads and stuff and the capes to the taxidermist, and they sent them off to Seattle and had it done. Wow. And 6 months later, we got those back.
Was that the trip that you found that little axe that I redid, the little cruiser's saddle axe?
Yes.
On that trip you found it?
Yes.
Wow.
There was a derelict of an old boat there, and just laying on the ground was this axe. Wow. That was a neat little axe.
Yeah, I used the crap out of that little axe.
And you could sharpen that to be razor sharp.
Yeah, the little 2-bit.
Yeah.
I love that axe.
And so that was that particular adventure. Yeah. And let's pause here, okay?
Let's go take a break. We're back. All right. So we just finished the moose story. That's your time in Alaska. Now, when did you get sent to Panama?
This was before I was stationed at Laredo, and my job was called the physiological training officer. And every pilot training, a student has to go through this course that we have. I run the altitude chamber to show about decompression. Okay. I had part of it was survival, but not. But we had a survival school down Panama. But the rest of that time was parasailing, parachuting.
Yeah,
and a number of things in that category: ejection from the aircraft, and what the physical things that the body has to go through while flying, even as high up as space.
Yeah.
And that was our job. I had about I had about a good dozen men working for me, and an assistant captain, and we also gave classes to the pilot training students on various things, formal classes.
Yeah.
And then practical classes. And that was a very good job. And it got to be that we were just lucky at that time. The hospital, I was assigned as the only pilot to the base hospital. And the 1 year they were putting on a sort of like a fair event where every department had some kind of a skit.
Sure.
And I was chosen to be the guy that did it for the hospital.
Okay.
And I had all these doctors come up with their little things, that they do. And I decided my group ought to have a mouse race. So we built a ring, a circle ring, and holes. They're so far apart and numbered them, and the center. And people would bet, and we throw a mouse in there
Mm-hmm.
in the center,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever hole he went out won. That was a big hit.
Yeah, I bet it was.
And so when that was over, of course, they gave me all the credit
Sure.
for organizing. Well, I sort of did organize everything, but everybody is so eager to come up with the things that they did
Mm-hmm.
and show off. And of course, the whole base was out there, and it was a big success because even every place in the base did things.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a big fun thing, and they made a lot of money, and everybody had a good time, and I couldn't do any better. I don't know whatever happened to my mouse. We had a couple of them spare and a real one.
Yeah.
But let's see, another thing that I did at it's a altar, the altitude chamber. The big thing that was used for is, and we could take a group in them,
Mm-hmm.
and you sit in there, and we tuck all the air out, and you go to altitude in there, and then when you put on the oxygen mask, when you go to pressure breathing,
Sure.
and what happens to your body, all the gases expand,
Mm-hmm.
and so we do that, and part of the training at the end was rapid decompression.
Okay.
And so they, boom, decompress you immediately down to sea level,
Yeah.
or the level we were at.
And how does that feel?
The air is sucked, pulled right out of your lungs.
Wow.
You can't be in the middle of swallowing while you're doing that. You might pop your ears some more.
Jeez.
and did that a number of times.
Wow.
So that was part of our job.
Okay.
And the other job was we had started the parasail program.
Sure.
The Air Force took that over. A few of us went to school. We brought this home, and all my guys ran it. I started being in charge of it to start with, and they got good for it. So I was just a supervisor from then on out. And another thing that I got was additional hazard pay
Okay.
for a while there till somebody complained in the Air Force, somebody else that we were making too much money,
Of course.
getting paid too much, so they took away from us.
So when did they send you off to Panama to do?
During the time there,
you had done some survival training before this point.
oh yeah, we when I went to Alaska, we had the Arctic survival,
Sure. Sure.
and so everywhere we went.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in one of my squadrons, I was a survival officer, and I took the guys out on a field trip every now and then,
Sure.
and didn't really do much of anything, but let's go out and camp in the woods
Right.
in the snow.
That's similar to what it is, anyways.
And so that was that. And so meanwhile, when I got the job, got to be in charge, I bought a shot shell reloader. I joined the Rod and Gun Club and became the buying officer.
Huh.
And I was able to get everything wholesale through the local distributor.
Nice.
And so I taught my guys how to reload shot shells.
Oh yeah.
And I gave them this. I gave
Shot
them
shells
the
for
reloader,
45 or
and we bought all that stuff. And we found a place to hunt, and so I'd take my guys hunting all the time. And everybody on base was jealous because it was very difficult to do that.
Yeah.
And I got a big name for that.
You're talking about a 1911 45 shells, reloading those for shot.
Oh, I'm talking about no birdshot, 12
Oh,
gauge.
12 gauge.
But yeah,
So
all the different gauges.
You're going just hunt camping.
We'll say that again.
You're going hunting and camping, not
Oh, well,
survival.
yeah, that's one of the things that we did in our spare time
Yeah.
during this. Everybody had to go to an annual dove hunt.
Yeah.
And so all my guys
Very
were,
good.
of course, they were bragging all around the base how I got the place for them to hunt. And they were hunting, and nobody could find a place to hunt. It was all leased around Laredo. And crap, we had the best dove hunting.
They're going to ruin a good thing if they keep talking.
And well, finally, we got so before I left, we lost the ability to go there. It started off. Well, one of the guys, my sergeants, married this gal, comes from a very wealthy Mexican family. They owned a lot of property there.
Okay.
And they had some on the north side of the river, as well as across the Mexican side. And he was able to talk to them into us bringing the guys out there. Yeah. And finally, at the end, just about when I was leaving, he was expecting that I would give him special favors.
Sure.
I couldn't do that. And you can't. I just didn't feel right giving something special when the other guys can't have it just because he did some favors.
Yeah.
That's a hard decision to make, and that cost me the least.
Yeah.
And but it was just about when I was ready to leave. But we had it for 3 years.
And pretty good run.
So
that's a pretty good run. So you're about to leave to go to Panama now.
Yeah. So along the way, but it was sometime during the time that I was there.
Yeah.
And an opening came up, and I was part of that thing. That if we had a chance to go, we were on the list to be able to go anytime we chose to go.
Yeah. Is the Vietnam War on at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
No, yeah. Okay. The Vietnam War is on. And so I put myself in to go. And so I went. So went down to Panama, went through the course, pretty near got to run the school down there, but I got called to go overseas at that time.
Yeah.
It was a couple of week course, and it was a good.
Yeah, you had to. You said it was 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And they had to fly you in there. It was pretty remote. You had to.
You're way out in the middle of the jungle, up in the Chagres River. Probably a helicopter ride, about an hour helicopter ride, and you're out there where there's nothing out there but just a little campfire. That's what we had, and that's where I got to shoot with my survival rifle shotgun.
Yeah.
I shot a toucan for us to eat. The big beak thing.
Yeah.
And that was a good pair of castanets for somebody.
Yeah.
And it was all big. And it was the worst, toughest bird you've ever seen. There was no way you could get a fork in it.
Yeah.
Never mind a knife to cut it. So that was a failure, but we tried. But if anything you wanted to shoot, I caught a bunch of peacock bass down there in the river that we were on.
Yeah.
They are a fish.
Yeah.
They weren't big ones, but the little guys were stuffed. And you think if you take them off the hook and throw it out there and you can catch them again, they didn't learn. And they were the meanest things going.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, they were.
They're award-winning fish now. I mean, people pay a lot of money to go fish for those.
Oh, yeah. And so now I know they've got them in some places in Florida.
They do, yeah. In Florida and Texas too. So when they sent you out there, you learned both from the military instructors and then the natives that were there and the Indians
assigned to the school were half a dozen of these native Panamanians.
Yeah, the
They were not
Panamanians.
Indians.
Yeah.
They were Panamanians, and these guys did nothing but live in the woods.
Yeah.
And then as consultants, we had uh, we were associated with that at that time. These were the Choco Indians, and their complete chief of the whole nation.
Wow.
And the Choco Indians are located from Panama through Colombia.
Wow.
Anything in the woods is theirs.
Sure.
And they didn't get along with the native Panamanians. So Panamanians didn't go into the woods, and the natives, Choco Indians, didn't go in town. But this chief was he was a good guy. I got to be real friendly with him.
Is that the picture you've got down
Yeah.
here? Okay.
And when I left, I wrote an article about him, and they used that article to award him something in the Explorers Club in New York.
Wow.
So my letter was written in that to say how good he was and how much I liked him.
Sure.
And
so you spent some time with both the Panamanians and the Indians learning survival stuff, or did you spend most of the survival training with the Panamanians?
All along they were giving us tricks on how to do things.
Sure. And now, did they use bows and arrows mostly, or
they were Choco Indians, were blowgun guys.
Blowguns, yeah.
They weren't allowed to use poison anymore, but who follows them into the jungle?
Yeah, yeah.
And that was a Karari that they had, and these guys were also shrunk heads.
Yeah.
And but they weren't doing that anymore.
Supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly. And they were well known for that. Yeah. Now I'm sure there were other tribes in South America that did the same thing, and some of them who probably haven't even been found yet.
Oh yeah,
in parts of the jungle. Anyway, I enjoyed that school, and I enjoyed Panama.
Well, tell the story of how you had to do some evasion training, and they paid off the Indians to go for hats.
Well, they didn't at the time we were there, but at one time they did. They had to escape and evade. So at the end of our program, we were put into groups to, they'd say, okay, you have now escaped. Find your way back to the river at this particular point, any way you want. And use nothing but your back and your knowledge. And say I had about half a dozen guys or a dozen guys with me. That was the leader of the pack. And these guys were varying degrees of competence in the woods. And I know that one of the people in the class was a civilian, and he was a member of the Panama, the canal as police force.
Okay.
For the Panama Canal, and so he was in the course too, and he was in my group.
Okay.
And so I had an aerial map of where they wanted us to take out, and it wasn't an overnight trip, but it was a full day.
Yeah.
We get up in the morning and start your trek, and now you've got to navigate yourself through. And there's all these, you don't know what's in that jungle down there because you're right in the middle of everything that's there. And of course, they taught us about how to keep away from the snakes and what snakes are there, and the different types of woods where you can Also, where you can get water by cutting a certain vine and it drips in this,
Sure.
and you get plenty to drink out of that wine, that vine.
How's the topography? How were you able to maneuver through it, even with the topo maps? I mean, you had to pretty much use dead reckoning, right?
Everything was with your map and where you put yourself on the map,
Sure.
and then the direction that you're supposed to go that way. Now, along the map, you had a variation
Okay.
of the what is true north and what is magnetic north.
Okay.
Okay, your compass goes magnetic north, and generally you're about 10, 12 degrees, or some small number like that, a difference
So
between
you
true
had to
north.
add that deviation.
There is, but it didn't make any difference because you don't need the true north. You go by what the variation is from point to so and
You're
so.
pretty close to the equator anyway, so it's
Yeah.
pretty small.
So that was not even the intent because you're looking for main places on the map where you can identify them, whether it be a rock outcropping or a canyon, because that place was full of gulches and canyons and stuff like that,
wow.
with all kinds of stuff growing outside. Everything has a thorn on it.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's so thick there, it's hard to imagine you could find any kind of topography to identify on
But
a map.
we've had places in the States here that are just as thick.
Yeah.
But they don't bite.
Yes.
One of the biggest things is the black palm,
Okay.
which grows up there and has nothing but spines. And it's like you get one of them in you, and it hurts for a long time.
Yeah.
It's got to work its way out. And
did you guys have the bullet ants down there? The ones that sting you so bad it feels like you've been shot?
No.
They didn't go over that?
No. They didn't. I never knew about the just. But I'm sure we did. They probably got a different name from down there than somewhere else. I've never heard the word bullet ant.
Oh, yeah. So when you guys had to evade, you ended up just going around where they were at, right?
We were just trying to navigate us through. I circumnavigated all the villages.
Yeah.
They never even knew we were around.
Yeah.
And the topography was fierce, up and down, and sides of, pretty steep hills and rock outcroppings and all kinds of things growing in there. And you didn't know. And of course, that's snake country.
Sure.
And they were alligators, or I don't know whether they're alligators or crocodiles in the river. And the lake that it flowed into was just loaded with them.
Sure.
And so we had that to contend with. We never ran into any. And we had a survival boat with us, an inflatable boat with us, little guy, one-man boat. I had that for my crew, and everybody had their big packs, which they issue you to start with. And that's worth 50, 60 pounds.
Wow.
And
now, did you get to choose some of the equipment you took with you, like for fire starting or your survival knives and that kind of thing?
They had it all there. Of course, I had my own.
Yeah.
But they would teach you how to start fires there.
Sure.
And rub two sticks together and with a bow and twirl them with your hands and the various things you can do. But I always carry a little pack of steel wool, fine grade steel wool, and a sparker. And if you have
ferro rod,
you're home free. Underwater, wet, everything else, it sparks still good.
Yeah.
And so use that and then you just learn how to make a fire, how to prepare it, because it takes a little bit to prepare it, going from the smallest to the largest.
Especially with all that humidity you guys were dealing with.
And
now, did they issue a certain type of machete to you guys?
Yes, they gave us a machete We have knife sharpeners. I mean, stone sharpeners. We have everything we need.
Now, on that trip in particular, did you bring? Because you preferred the Western buoys
I
over the
didn't at
machetes.
that time.
Okay.
I didn't know about the buoy
Okay.
because the Western buoy, a knife was new on the market then, and they didn't make them for very long that I know of.
But later on, you started using those.
Instead of that, I have the one that they gave me,
Okay.
and but I packed that in the garage and rarely used it because I liked the buoy, the
Yeah.
Western knife better.
Well, you had one of those sewn into your parachute when you were shot
Yeah,
down. One of
then
those
because
Western buoys.
I had that sewed into my um,
Yeah.
parachute, and I carried a 22 pistol in my backpack, as well as we had the survival weapon. I could have carried a cannon if they'd let me, but I mean, we had no. You can only put so much in there,
Yeah.
and so in the pack. So and you get a whole bunch of stuff in that survival kit.
Yeah.
Even uh, pills that'll keep you going when
Oh.
everybody gets exhausted for a couple of days.
Yeah. The
Uh,
speed pills.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we had, and they issued me a 38 Combat Masterpiece,
Okay.
brand new. Shot that thing and is extremely accurate and easy to hit with the regular revolver. It's a big pistol.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is in plain life. Okay, we went through that. I was able to steer these guys through everything, around everything, with the map and my little hand compass. And we get out to where we can see the river where we were supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And somehow that little compass dropped out of my hand and went down into the stream, and I could not find it again, but it served its purpose.
Yeah.
It did all the way around. I didn't have anything on it, but the way it pointed north, south, east, and west, it was only a button compass.
All you need.
And but it worked out good. And what I was doing, I was looking at the map, looking at, and had that compass in my hand the whole time. And was able to pick out the points where we're going, and exactly where it went, and I didn't have any trouble. It worked out real good. And so we got to the pickup point down the river. Every group was met by a boat, a river type boat, that the haul that log type boat.
Yeah.
And that the natives made. And we were brought down to a place, a village, and this was a standard Panamanian village boat on the edge of this. And they trained them to treat us like we were they were the partisans and we were the escapees.
Okay.
And they couldn't speak English, we couldn't speak their language.
All right.
And they prepared a meal for us and give us a place to sleep, and not a word was talked because they weren't supposed to do that. And I don't know if they spoke English to start with.
Okay.
And they very possibly could have been not completely Panamanian. They were probably half natives.
Okay.
And so we did that. We spent that a night there with them. They fed us. We slept. Next morning, we were picked up again and brought to a place and given a map and it was on the edge of the base. And the base, that I forget the word. Encapsulate the whole base.
Wow.
The all perimeter, everything about that base. And then on that base, somewhere on the other side of it, somewhere, there was a pickup point. And if we got all the way through that without even, and then they had guys roaming
Yeah.
around looking for us. And so
They were
we-
looking for your hats, right?
No, that hat thing
Yeah.
is while you're in the jungle evading,
Okay.
and they didn't do that to us this particular time, but they at one time had, and they were
Yeah.
encouraging the people, the guys to do a better job of evading,
Yeah.
cheating,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Don't stop and ask for directions.
and they said the natives were so good.
Yeah.
Like you go by a bush and a hand reaches out, grabs your hat, and disappears, and you can't even catch them.
Yeah.
And so, but that's a good idea. But it's pretty hard to have those guys wait for half a day for
Yeah.
somebody to walk by you that may never walk by.
Yeah.
So they didn't do that for long, but that, in theory, that was it.
Yeah.
And so we were through with the natives, and we had to escape bay through the base.
Okay.
And we get in the gutters and crawl through pipes and all that stuff, and make it to where the guys from the school were waiting for us, and they had a fire going, and we'd sneak up on them and say, "Here I is," and that part of the course was done.
Very good. Let's go ahead and take a break. And we're back. All right. So you were at the survival school in Panama.
Okay.
And you were thinking about running the school. They were going to put you in charge of it.
Yeah, I want to see the full colonel in charge of that area, and he says because technically the school belongs to the Central Command,
Okay.
not the Training Command.
Gotcha.
And so he says, when you get home, we'll have orders. You send you down here as the head of the school, which is just, half a dozen guys,
Sure.
and not a big deal. And the curriculum is set the way it is set. So
Yeah.
I'm not offering anything there other than I'll get a chance to go hunting.
Yeah. Go hunting down
and
there.
fish,
Yeah.
and Panama. And so, anyways, I'm coming back to Laredo, which is my home base. And when I arrived back there, I got the word, "Congratulations, you're going to F-105 schools in North Vietnam."
Wow.
So I went I got cleared out of Laredo and went to McConnell Air Force Base for training. And so I took my family with me. We lived in a little town called Mulvane. So we went there, and a few things happened while I was there where I, for some reason, there was a delay in me starting the school, and pheasant season had just opened. And so I was happy about that.
Yeah.
And when the season was over, I started my first class. And that was, I went over there, I was there over Christmas. And about in January or February, started the class, and I was finished in June. Yeah. And during the F-105 class, we went through everything we did. We checked out the airplane, learned all the engineering about the airplane, and started flying, got checked out in the airplane. Then got into formation flying, did all that stuff, and of course we've been doing it forever in other airplanes, so that isn't a big deal.
That's a pretty big airplane too, isn't it? It's a fighter bomber, right?
Yeah, but it's a single seat.
Okay.
And just got one big engine, and it was designed as a low altitude bomber to fly at low altitude into Russia and toss nukes. We went through that part of the training too, also, I guess, and learned how to do that. You fly halfway around Nebraska and Kansas and find a place out there where you're supposed to drop it, and you navigate
Sure.
to that. And so you learn that. It wasn't really, if you screwed up, it didn't make any difference. You weren't going there, and they weren't using this aircraft for that.
Yeah.
But they had all the electronics in it to be able to toss bombs and throw things, but we never used that. They took out the bomb bay that was just in the airplane to allow you to go to super long distances.
Wow.
And we loaded that with a fuel, with bombs instead. No, fuel tank.
Fuel tank.
And which allowed us to go, our trips were in Vietnam were 4 and 5 hours.
Wow. One way or round trip?
Round trip at 2 hours one way at 500 miles an hour. There's a long distance.
You're going from Thailand up into Vietnam,
right,
and
now
back again.
The thing is, we were not. This is a different war than the Vietnamese War. This is a war against North Vietnam. We weren't allowed to go into South Vietnam, nor were they supposed to go up into us. And that was strictly adhered to. We had to stay above the DMZ. I don't know how it got to the point one time where I worked with a forward air controller that came from the South Vietnamese, but he found a target for me up in North Vietnam. So we don't talk about that one. And but so that's what we did. I checked into the once in the survival school. We found a place in Mulvane, Kansas to live, and it was a beat up old place, but we knew we were only going to spend a few months there, and started the training. Joe, it was the kids start school in Mulvane, right out close to where we live. Those that were in school, John and Steve, and I think Tony and Nanette Nanette and Tony might have been in the first grade. Susie was just toddling around. So the school was going good. I started off one time. I got a cold. Because the classes had advanced with me for so long. I got put into a second class below that, and so I finished up in that class below. What you did in that class was you started off skip bombing.
Okay.
Which means you're flying around at a moderate level, 2,000-3,000 feet, and then your target is on the ground. And you have a certain pattern that you fly, and you dive on the thing, but it's not a dive, it's a shallow dive.
Oh, okay.
And you have the pipper on, which is a circle bullseye pipper with a dot in the middle. And as you come, you're going pretty fast by that time.
Sure.
Get your pipper on the bullseye and squeeze off when you get the urge to fire. And if you're good at it, you'll get a bullseye. If you're not, I don't know how far you miss by, but they don't like that. And if you hesitate too long, you're dead.
Yeah.
And it's that fast.
Yeah.
You are really going down because you're only flying down to maybe 10 or 15 feet at that time.
Wow.
And I one time I was doing very good. I had that touch where I could hit the pickle button at the proper time where I'd hit the target every time. And they were pretty much impressed by that. And they say very, very few people have that.
So you're
touch.
already flying really low.
And you're diving down.
And you're coming down within 10, 15 feet from the ground.
Yeah. I guess by the time you pull out,
by the time you pull out.
And the thing is, I hesitated one time. No, a friend of mine went through the course 6 months before me. And he crashed on that missile, but went right into the target, right below the target. Wow. And he was one of the kind of kids that was very intense on learning the best way to do it.
Yeah.
And so he stayed with the target a little bit too long and didn't get to blow out. I did that once, but luckily I blew a lot of dust out, and I didn't hit.
Wow.
But I wouldn't be surprised that I could have touched the ground for all I know.
Yeah.
And it's that fast. So I didn't do that anymore, but I got through that part. Then we went into radar bombing, and just like you did in the with the nukes.
Okay.
You run instruments all the way, and you fly, and you follow your instruments, and you had to set it up so that the bomb way would toss the bomb at the angle. You had so the most distance from the airplane, where it loops over, it comes down, and hits the ground. But meanwhile, the minute you let go of that bomb, you're pulling off as fast as you can go, and they're not expecting you to make it.
Yeah.
If you hesitate, you're gone. You're not going to make it. You're going to go up with the bomb.
Yeah.
And but got through that part all right. And I don't know. They added up the scores. We didn't have any air or anything like that. Basically, that was it. And I graduated in June.
Okay.
Then we went up to Spokane with the family, and we looked for a place to rent up there while I was gone, because I was only supposed to go for 6 months.
Yeah.
I figured I'd get my 100 missions out of the way in 6 months, which was what we tried for.
Sure.
And so we had a difficult time finding a house, but eventually we talked a realtor and letting us rent, which was about 45 minutes from the base, but was fine. And moved in there. And before that, we took a week or so to get used to Spokane, find out where all the good fishing holes were, and out to the base. And now we're driving out to the base, and we had this. It was a wonderful card, but it was this Chevy bus with the engine in the back. They recalled them after a while, but they had trouble with those things. And I had trouble while we were at Laredo. And I made the mistake of having the Mexicans fix it, because they left out everything on that thing. It just barely went. And it made it to Spokane, and it died as we were going through town. I had to get to the base. We got to the middle of Spokane at the largest intersection in Spokane, and the engine quit. Now, after I left, Joe was telling her story to the cop, and he's crying because I'm on my way to Vietnam and can't get to the airport. And luckily, this gal in a convertible, blonde, young, pretty, picked me up and brought me out to the base.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
And so that's how I went to war.
Wow.
And there was a little bit more to that wasn't as exciting as this was. So we got there, and everything was set up, went to the Philippines to start with, went through the Philippine survival school, which was another jungle survival school. And I went through that. It took about a week. And all the things, how to strap in so you get picked up by this full recovery system, which is that they snatch you off the ground. But we didn't do that. We just learned how it works and what to expect and how to prepare the place for it.
Sure.
And so then got to North Vietnam on the got there about 28th of July. I flew my first mission the 1st of August.
Where were you stationed at?
Stationed at Korat in North Vietnam. Our big deal was to get 100 missiles and go home. And we were all of bombing was going to be dive bombing.
Yeah. Was that, you said Karat in North Vietnam, or was that in Thailand?
I said North Vietnam. I meant Thailand.
Thailand. But you're going, yeah.
We're flying into
North
North
Vietnam.
Vietnam. Most of the times, our mission would take us through Thailand, through possibly Laos, maybe a touch of Cambodia, depending which way we went, up to the South China Sea and up along the coast of the Chinese border, and right at the border turn inland towards Hanoi.
Sure.
Or if we went the land route, which was across Laos and up there to the northwest part of Thailand, and then turn directly into a point towards Hanoi. That one took 4 hours, and the sea route went 5 hours. The amount of time you spent in action was a minute, maybe 2 minutes.
Wow. So you're building up all this emotional pressure over a couple hours, and then
well, we're always joking this and that and everything else. And if some guy gets shot, poor guy, and he might have done something wrong, but good luck. And we did everything we did to have to find him, catch him if he's in the chute, and get him home. What can you do? Well, you'd be losing. We're losing 1 or 2 a day.
Wow.
So, and it was hard to do. And the average life expectancy was 60 missions.
Wow.
Before you get shot down.
And
some guys went longer, some guys went less.
They kept sending you in though on the same kinds of targets, huh?
Yeah, well, there were basic targets that we hit. Nothing was new. A lot of it we weren't allowed to hit because we didn't want to PO the North Vietnamese or the Russians, whoever it was that was running that thing. And I know that we fly over, come out of the South China Sea, fly over Haiphong Harbor, and the place was full of merchant ships waiting to unload on the docks. And on the docks, you could see SAM missiles and all that, crated up, ready to go.
But you couldn't hit any of those.
And ships in the harbor flying British flags.
Wow.
We couldn't touch them.
Yeah.
If they had radar sites at that particular time, we couldn't touch them. We were very restricted in what we could go after.
You couldn't mess with the Russians sending stuff down to.
No, the only thing that we could go is if that target had been attacked before, you may be able to re-attack it.
Sure.
And but if it never been, you didn't do anything on your own.
So you were doing a lot of support of ground forces.
There were no ground forces up there.
You're just hitting targets.
South Vietnam had all the ground forces, all the fighting. We were just bombing supply routes, and
you're just trying to harass them.
Well, we're trying to stop them from bringing stuff down into South Vietnam.
Yeah,
and the people that we were running against, you don't know what country they came from.
Yeah.
Just like in South Vietnam, we helped the South Vietnamese. These guys, the Russians and a lot of the Iron Curtain countries, were helping the North Vietnamese. And so that's what we're going after.
Yeah.
And basically, my first mission was a softie. Well, it's possible to get shot down there. A lot of people had, but it was the easiest they had. I flew 2 missions that way, get used to flying over enemy territory.
Yeah.
And my next mission was one of the difficult ones. 4-ship flight. We went up to Dien Bien Phu. That was package 6 was where we were normally bombed, but usually same difficulty was up on package 5 where Dien Bien Phu was. And so I was number 4 in that flight, and they had wired my aircraft with outside cameras that would see where I was going, where the pipper was, where I come, and what was behind me.
Okay.
So the whole flight was recorded, going and coming.
Sure.
And so I was number 4. Our object was, we all dove in at the same time. And it was a big, giant railroad area.
Wow.
And the tracks and trains everywhere. And I picked out it happened to be, there was a train on a bridge and a train going the opposite way under the bridge.
Okay.
So there was 2 trains and a bridge.
Okay.
And so I picked that, just happened to be lucky, and there it was. And so I aimed at that thing and never felt anything, got a bullseye.
Nice.
And
Both trains.
Huh?
Both trains.
I got everything. A train, bridge, 2 trains and a bridge in one shot.
Nice.
And I hit the middle of the string of trains, and happened to be they were crossing at the same time.
Nice.
And of course, the bridge is permanent, so I got them all.
Yeah.
And it showed up in my pictures when I come home. But during the attack, as I was pulling off, the leader said, "Hey, you've been hit. Where's your drop take? You got 2, 1 on each wing. You had your drop take shot off." And I looked out there, and there's all kinds of holes in the wings from the bottom to the top, and I mean, it looked like shredded wheat, full of holes.
Yeah.
And so
Swiss cheese.
I didn't know that I was even hit. I was so excited, I guess. And I don't know where I got hit, whether it was on the way towards the target, in the dive, or just pulling out of the dive. But I could see as I was going down, bright flashes here and there were lots of them on the ground pointing, shooting at me.
Sure.
And I didn't think I'd get hit until they pointed it out to me, and then, whoops. And so we made it home, made it to Thailand. I separated from the group and brought the airplane to a different base that was able to repair airplanes. So I didn't make it back to Karat. And when I came back, I had pictures of the whole attack. And I hesitated one day, and I went to get the copy of those pictures. They'd already shipped them off.
Oh, man.
But that was the first Silver Star, if I was ever going to get one. The leader says, "That's worth the Silver Star." And I didn't put in for it. Nobody put in for it. So that's an open one waiting for me if I want to do that. That would give me 3. But that's an automatic. When you get hit on an attack, you're it. So anyways, that was my first mission. And then if you got up to fly, it depending on what position was open for you. I was a flight leader. I was a squadron flight leader, flight leader. And I had about 10, 12 pilots under me. And and my assistant flight leader, he did all the paperwork for me. And I really didn't do much.
That's a nice deal. Yeah.
And I made sure that I got on the schedule, and he got on the schedule as much as I did. So we went the same time. Now, the position you flew in all depended on what was opening.
Sure.
Whether it was lead or number 4 there. And the weather that we were flying through is as bad as you can get in the world. Wow. The monsoons over Southeast Asia are completely known, big thunderstorms up to 50,000 feet. Wow. Pouring rain going through those things in the middle of the night, where you're 3 feet from the other guy's wingtip with his lights on. You're about 3 feet from it in your canopy. And there's many times the rain would be so heavy, or the clouds so heavy, you lose them.
Wow.
And you sit there, wait. All of a sudden, they showed up again. So you didn't, because you didn't know where you're going to go, whether you'd hit them or not.
Yeah.
And so went through all those. I got about somewhere in the neighborhood of 65 missions. in that we fly 20 a month. I got to somewhere between 65 and 70 missions before I got shot down. Meanwhile, I'd gone to Japan once for a weekend and went to what was the city in Thailand everybody goes to?
You're talking Japan, Tokyo? In Tokyo, Japan?
No, Japan. I mean, North Vietnam. Anyways, it'll come to me somewhere in there.
Sure.
And we had a hotel over there that was for nothing but R&R from people from South Vietnam, and they would come up to Thailand.
Okay.
So, and then I went to a place in China, Hong Kong, and spent a couple of days there. So I had 3 good visits in different places.
Wow. Very cool.
And actually, when even though you never felt nervous or shaky during the flight, you were actually really wound up, and they were necessary that you had that relief.
Yeah.
So that was good. Gets you ready for the next month.
Yeah.
And so when I got to somewhere around the 61st mission, see, how did I get hit? Okay, this was coming up on dark. We left about 3 o'clock and flew. Went by sea that time. Come into Hanoi. We had picked up our target. Our target was supposed to be a barge factory on the Red River.
Okay.
And got in position to roll in. Meanwhile, they're shooting SAMs all over the place. And I looked down below, and I could see 5 lift off the ground in one place, and another one 7 or 8 lift off, and a third place with a bunch of them lift off. And I got back on to fire it again, looked over again, and coming at us, maybe a couple hundred yards from us, were about 7 SAMs aimed right at us.
Jeez.
And so I halted that position, and we were in a position to roll in on the target. I could see the target everywhere to go, but we had a new squadron commander, Salida, and he didn't spot the target fast enough, and he hesitated going in to roll them because we rolled in formation, 16 airplanes in formation, and then we picked our targets along the way and hoped we didn't run into each other. But the whole thing happened in one blast. And so that was the safest way for us to go rather than individually, and got the thing over in a hurry. And we did it was a good job. If you're going to hit it, your chances of hitting the target are very good.
Yeah.
And in mass. And
kind of like a flock of birds.
Yeah. And so I saw that thing, hauled out that were SAMs, and bam. It sounded like the sharpest, loudest noise that I've ever heard. And I rolled out of formation. I picked a route that was going to get me to Thailand.
Yeah.
All the fire lights are going, everything's going, but I had control of the airplane for a little bit.
Yeah.
And we have a device in there. You can freeze the controls wherever they are. Okay. And if you're lucky enough to pick a direction and an attitude that kept you from stalling out or getting in serious trouble, it locked the controls in that direction. And so you stayed that way. Now, as you slowed down, you get closer to a stall out. Mm-hmm. And so I stayed with that way. And the cockpit was clear at that particular time. And all of a sudden, smoke started seeping in here and there and everywhere. And the smoke got to be so bad that the inside of the cockpit was black and I couldn't see out or forward. Wow. And so I fumbled for the jettison for the canopy. I couldn't find it in the dark. And so I reached up and unlocked it as if I were on the ground, unlocked it, and it blew away. Wow. Perfect. it ended up. Now I'm going down, and I could see from time to time where I get a whiff of clear air, and so I stayed with the airplane as long as I could. Meanwhile, they'd finished their bomb run and came up to me, and they said all we could see was you sitting there with smoke in the cockpit, and we all thought you were dead in the cockpit. And the only reason we called you missing in action because we could hear all of a sudden a beep went off. The beep went off where someone had ejected or did something.
Yeah.
And that caused the emergency locator to go off.
Sure. Now you're trying to make it as far as you can.
I'm trying to make it into
point.
Laos so I can bail out, because that was my best chance. Because we can get the helicopters into Laos, but we couldn't. And so they have made a couple of rescues up there in the whole, but 1 or 2 in the whole war. But my chances were that. And so I stayed with the airplane as long as I dare. We had survival radios that had a beeper in them, survival beeper in them. I picked out, made a call saying that I was injured. I was hit, not injured, gonna bail out.
Okay.
And so, I put that back in had a little pocket to have them in. And so that means that we had one of the survival in our parachute that went off whenever the parachute opened.
Yeah.
That gave you one, and the one on my leg gave me a second radio. I could hear the anti-aircraft fire all around me. And I thought they were shooting at me. They probably were, for all I know.
Yeah.
And but when you roll in to dive into the target, all of a sudden everything lights up.
Yeah.
Generally, you roll in, the anti-aircraft fire. There's all kinds of stuff going on before, but the real good big stuff, the minute they see you dive in, and it's radar controlled.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And so they're waiting for you to dive in. You make your dive and you come off the target, the anti-aircraft fire stops and the MiGs hit you. And that's generally the purpose, if there are any MiGs. But I never saw any all the time I was doing that. A couple guys did. One guy shot one MiG down. They overshot him, and he popped him. And he saw that thing go down. Next thing you know, one come up from below him at the second, and he says, "That's the same one." He shot that one down too. In a matter of about 10 seconds, he got 2 MiGs.
No.
They just were going too fast.
So what's a MiG for people listening who don't know what it is?
That's the MiG of their fighter aircraft.
Yeah.
And just surface-to-air missiles, what we call a SAM.
SAM is surface-to-air.
And the MiG is generally, it's a manufacturer of the, and the nomenclature that we give their airplanes.
Gotcha. So now you're trying to make it to Laos.
I'm trying to make it to Laos, and it got so bad I couldn't see. And with all that smoke coming in, and I had flown such a way that as I figured I'd have to get out at about 5,000 feet, or I knew where the bottoms of the clouds were. And so when I judged it with that, when I could see, I thought I saw the bottoms of the clouds, and I ejected. And everything was hunky-dory. From then on, okay, we were coming down the chute. And one of the things I taught in survival school was parachuting.
Yeah.
And another one was how to cut shroud lines so that you can open up a hole in the back of your chute
and come down faster.
To give you forward speed.
Oh,
so you're like a sports chute now.
Sure.
So you can steer where you're going. You don't go very fast, but you can stay away from places on your way down. And so I got out my knife from my boot, put it between my teeth the whole way, and I'm trying to climb up the risers and hit the shroud lines. And I got up there, and it was a lot longer than I thought it was.
Mhm.
And so I grabbed the knife and I hacked at the lines,
Mhm.
and I heard this. Blump. I took about 6 out, and
Whoops.
that broke my heart, because if you ever bend down a sapling with a knife and you go to cut it, it just goes farther and cuts more.
Yeah.
I pretty near cut the whole half my shot lines out. And so I put that knife back, and I was happy with what I had. And so now I'm coming down closer to the ground, and I could see people shooting at me. There had to have been 50, 60 people on the ground. And but then when I got close to the ground, they all quit. And then they all ducked
Yeah.
into the high grass. I landed in a rice paddy, did a perfect parachute landing. I figured that they're going to be proud of me back home. Made a good landing, gathered up my chute, and went to take the survival radio, and
Yeah.
out of the chute, and there was none in there.
Oh man.
And I was, that day, evidently my chute needed repacking, and they gave me a spare chute.
Oh man.
And it was too. That's why I had such trouble crawling up the.
Yeah.
And but I did it, and carrying that weight of that survival equipment, that's another 50, 60 pounds.
Sure.
And you got a raft dangling below you.
Wow.
And so, anyways, made a good landing, landed in a rice paddy. I was wet. They're only about 4 or 5 inches deep.
So you had a radio on your hip as well, right?
Yeah, and that's what they heard.
Yeah.
The beeper. When I turned that thing on, made my transmission, they didn't hear one from my airplane, and they thought that could have been. They knew a couple other people had been shot down at the same time, not from our flight, but somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah.
And they thought, well, we heard a beep, but the chances are that's him. So we'll make him missing in action rather than killed in action.
Yeah, yeah.
They wouldn't have called it if I had. I was just sitting there straight, smoking the cockpit, and but I was working the controls, but they didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they thought I was hurt in the cockpit, and so that's. And the minute I landed, I looked for that radio, tried to shut it off in the parachute, took that home, come apart, the thing apart, looking for that thing, couldn't find it. I had a little pistol in my crotch here, because we had a story of one pilot that landed. He landed in the water. They come out and they had a soldier couple feet away, escorting him in. And meanwhile, a helicopter made a couple of passes at him, and every time they made that pass, that gook went underwater. And so he took out his pistol. When he came up again, he shot him between the eyes. The helicopter picked him up and brought him home. He was very lucky, and he had a backseater in that. They never heard from him again. And so that's that story.
So you're down there, and
I'm down there, and they first come up to me. There was men, women, children, everybody had a gun. And the one guy looked like he knew what he was doing, and I pointed him out and raised my hands. I figured, it's over for me here.
Yeah.
And he took charge, and he kept everybody off me. One guy tried to cut my boots off, like saws through my laces with a machete.
Yeah.
And I took them off myself. I told him, don't touch me. Didn't. I had tossed my little survival gun out into the rice paddy. I figured that's not doing me any good with that kind of a crowd.
Yeah.
And I didn't want them to catch me on it.
Yeah.
I missed that little gun. I got picked up and marched. They put me in these rice paddies. They have these dikes, elevated dikes all around them. And they brought me up there. They stripped me to my underwear. And then they marched, blindfolded me, and tied my elbows together behind my back.
That's you here, right? That's
Yeah,
the
now
picture
that's
of,
another story.
yeah. We can get into that in a little bit, but
Yeah. Okay. Then they marched me around through these lakes and everything, and I get to a small village, and every one of these villages had a white building in the center of town with a little porch on it. And I get there, and my eyes are still blindfolded, and they had one guy giving a big speech and getting the hoorahs from the crowd, and he'd get them all worked up. They'd throw rocks at me, and I had the rocks bouncing off me everywhere, but I never felt a thing.
yeah, you're just too adrenalined up. Yeah.
And so we did that 3 or 4 times, and by the time it was dark. But before we get to the darkness, what happened to me, when they put me on display, then I went to a new village and nobody showed up. And then they put me inside, all in the big room, and all they had was a table covered with a purple tablecloth and nothing else in the room. So they had me sitting against the wall. Of course, my hands are still behind my back. My blindfold is still on. But I could notice there was a couple of women aiming their guns at me. And I heard this car approach, and it sounded like the biggest car you've ever seen. I mean, at least a 12-cylinder Joby.
Wow.
And I knew it was somebody big. And what few people were out there went quiet. The people in the building, in the room with me, was quiet. And a couple walked up to the desk, and I could see them through through the blindfold. And they were both, it was Chinese. They weren't Vietnamese.
Yeah.
And a man and a woman. They looked like they just come out of the 1930s golf course. He had mid calf. What do you call those things? Pants on the.
The ones with the shape to them.
Yeah, they were golf pants of the old age. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
They come up to your knees and blossomed out.
Yeah.
And Argyle socks, and a saddle Oxford, brown and white shoes. Had haircut like American, and nobody said anything. Now she had a sweater, a little kerchief, tweed skirt, also socks up to her calf legs, and saddle Oxford by themselves, like the other guy. And they were in there maybe 2 or 3 minutes, never even looked at me. Talked to them at the desk, turned around, walked out, and the car started up again, and off they went. Who knows they were? Nobody ever told me. I've tried to tell everybody what it was. No one explained to me what it was. Who knows? But they looked to me like they should have been royalty.
Yeah.
Or somebody up that
and you're
rank.
Sure they were Chinese?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they were taller, much taller. They were a foot taller than these guys. Yeah. And the age looked like the both were in their late 30s or early 40s, young people. And that's how that ended up. Yeah. Okay, now they walked from place to place, and finally I got to a little village, and they planted me there. Had another crowd in there, but I was not on a deck. I was right on the ground, sitting inside. Noticed some lady charcoaling me, a picture of me. That was her thing, and they were all crowded around with me. Some guy and my hands still behind my back. Some guy I could feel him coming in, and he took my ring off me.
Yeah.
I just bought a new ruby ring in Thailand. And so I wore that for the first time, and that's gone. And that was a big one. So after they left, they brought me outside for a little bit, and there was a crowd out there. And so I was in the middle of the crowd, and there were about 25 or 30 people around me. And some guy, I heard this yell, and some guy had a big knife with a long handle and about a 3-foot blade.
Yeah.
And he come down on me, and everybody put their hands up and ducked, and it bounced it off my shoulder.
Oh.
I could hear this whop as it hit the bone, and never penetrated anything. Just got a little red scratch there. And they grabbed him and took him off.
Was it just so dull that it didn't go
I
in?
don't know what. Yeah, either, and it hit me right.
Oh yeah, the angle he must have chopped at.
Yeah, I mean, no, it hit me square.
Oh, okay.
It should have taken the shoulder off.
Wow.
But you know it's going to be dull and everything else. But plus they stopped it enough.
Okay.
But it was still loud.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've been kicked in the knees by calves.
Yeah.
As you run them through the chute and take them out, try to brand them, and bang, the little guy shoots his leg out like lightning. You don't see it, and hit me in the side of the knee. But he was out at his extended limits.
So it was just right there.
And made a noise, but didn't hurt me. But it was like that.
Yeah.
And so that crowd met, they came and went, and they put me, we waited there until it was really dark. And my hands are still at the elbows behind my back. And a Jeep come in with 2 guys in it. They loaded my gear in the back of it, along with me. And it took about 15 minutes to drive to the downtown Hilton.
Hanoi Hilton.
Yeah. Wow. And that's another phase of this debriefing.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. Did you want to take a break, or did you?
Yeah. If you want to take a break, I'm good.
Okay, we'll keep going then. That's
okay.
All right. Why don't we talk about the picture, because that's kind of interesting.
Okay.
Because that's you being herded off.
That's right after I landed in the chute. That's when I was on those dikes being marched around and paraded.
So this is years later. They had
it's about 30 years later
that you guys
I got a call from the State Department saying that they got some pictures from Czechoslovakia, and there's 2 different POWs that were shot down in the same province that you got shot down, and about the same time you got shot down. Well, I never heard of anybody else being shot down, and it was he was evidently as one of the people from Czechoslovakia that took pictures of all the time of my capture.
Wow.
And so the State Department sent the pictures to me to identify if any of them were me.
Yeah.
And Joe looked at him and said immediately she knew that one of them was me.
Yeah.
But from a foreign country, from Vietnam, North Vietnam, to Czechoslovakia, and 30 years later, these showed up out of nowhere. That hadn't happened to anybody.
Yeah.
And
crazy. Yeah. Yeah, and that's
wow. And I hadn't been on the ground for 20 minutes.
No, yeah, that must have been pretty quickly after.
Yeah, immediately after. They're still marching me along those dikes.
Yeah.
And so that's so unusual. And he did a good job of photography.
Yeah.
And never gave his name, I don't think. The only thing I can remember is we have a summer camp, a large resort area on the big lake here, and they usually host. Now the government has a war college for our allies.
Yeah.
They would send their generals or their ranking people who are about to make general here, go through the course, whatever they teach them. And in the summertime, during a break, these do-gooder organizations tour them around the country to see things that would
Yeah.
be good targets, as far as I'm concerned. And they stayed at this Flathead Lake Lodge.
Okay.
And a friend of mine usually puts on a little show. He dresses up in buckskins and all that,
Okay.
and tells about how the history of this place was. And so then we have drinks afterward, and I got associated with two generals, from one from Czechoslovakia and one from Poland.
Okay.
One general ran their Air Force Academy, and the other one, I don't know what he did. But we got to talking to him. I told him about I had a Czechoslovakian dog,
Yeah.
and the shooter, and we got just do that. I invited them down to the house, but they didn't go, and that's the last I saw them. Didn't know them, and I don't remember their names or what they did, but they were. One was a general for sure, and the other one something else, and out of sight, out of mind. And it's been so many years since, but I do remember meeting somebody.
Oh, interesting.
So it had to be that one guy from Czechoslovakia. He had to be in North Vietnam when I was there.
Yeah. Wow. All right. So you've been captured. You've been taken to Hanoi Hilton.
Okay. Now I'm in the Hanoi Hilton. Okay. Immediately going in one door, I was put in this cell. The cell was probably 5 feet wide and about 8 foot long. Had a trench down the bottom, and the bottom went out through the bottom of the wall. And that was to hose out the place, I guess.
Yeah.
And then the ceilings were extremely high. They were up to 15, 20 feet.
Wow.
And about at the 10 or 12 feet level, there was a window with bars in it and bamboo cloth, like we have for our slept on, cover the window, but you could see it was old and been up there a long time. Part of it was torn away. And so I could hear what was going on out there. And I could see a set of highlines going across over there. Every now and then I see rats going across the wires.
Jeez.
And they'd be out there in the morning. I'd wake up and they'd be nibbling on my toes, but they never drew blood. But so that was rat infested, that prison area.
Yeah.
My hands were still behind my back. My legs were in stocks.
Okay.
And where they had the part that they rested on cut out so that my ankles would fit in there. And they had a iron, very heavy duty iron, come down on a hinge and over that thing to complete the stock, and a bar coming from outside the room that went into the area like you'd put a padlock in, but only slid in there and locked the stock down there so they couldn't open from inside, and it was all controlled from outside.
Wow, interesting.
And then they had a small window there with bars in it. Had 7 bars. 1 day a week for me.
1 day.
So I could start counting days.
Yeah.
And they gave me a mat to sleep on. No, they didn't do anything for a week or so.
Yeah.
At that time, I was barely fed. They bring a plate out and my arms are still tied behind my back. Now, we're talking about 6 or 7 days where totally they never were loosened. And I had to bend down and roll over as much as I could and lap the food out of the plate. And there wasn't much there. But I didn't like any of it for the first few days. Then I started eating it pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
And it looked terrible. And of course, I don't think it was made to be appetizing. And like fried banana skins.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Or kohlrabi, just boiled and fried, about 2 or 3 chunks on your plate, and that's it for the day.
Wow.
Or twice a day. Then they started giving me a little French baguette about this long to eat with my soup, and that would be it for the noon meal. I forget now whether it's 2 or 3 times a day.
Yeah.
I think it was just 2 times a day. Anyways, and
So you were in that room for about a week.
I was in that room a much longer, better than 6 weeks.
Oh,
I
wow.
got shot down in November, 19th of November. I wasn't moved out of that room until January 1st,
Wow. Now, were you alone in that room?
all by myself.
Okay. And when did they loosen up your arms?
After, I would say that it was probably a good week or a little bit more before they did that. But every day, twice a day, now the minute I got there, they would march me out
Mhm.
with my hands still behind my back and brought me to the interrogation.
Mhm.
And in the interrogation, there was a desk, one officer that spoke English was asking me all these questions, and another guy with him that was a enlisted people of very low rank. He was the guy that did the ropes, that knew all the knots and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Never said a word, just worked in quiet and steady as could be, and did all his little tricks.
Mm.
But I would be asked these questions that started out. Your name and number and all that. He wanted more than that, and yeah, I didn't do it. And finally gets through. So he knew what squadron I was in. He had somebody in town had picked up all my notes on my knee pads that somehow got taken out when I ejected or when the airplane was. And somebody in town picked it up, so they knew what squadron I was in. And the airplane, they wanted to know the airplane, but they knew the answers. And they wanted to know who my squadron got shot down. And I said, I don't know. Eventually, I did mention a couple of names of guys that were in my squadron that were confirmed shot down.
Yeah.
And if they didn't know about them, and I only gave them 2 or 3, but they were in my squadron in flight, and I knew them.
Yeah.
And they were declared prisoners right away.
Sure.
So I felt that was pretty safe to do that, and sort of satisfied them. It really didn't, but they got tired of asking me, and every time I did answer anything, they had my hands tied behind my back, and they had a bar across my ankles in a big U area. It was like a circle that was bent in half, and so your feet were in the bottom, and they ran an arm bar across the top.
Okay.
And that kept you locked in there.
Yeah.
And so they took the ropes behind my back over and tied them to the bar.
Okay. Behind you.
Behind me.
Yeah.
No, it came over my back and to the front of me.
Oh, the rope came up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And was tied around that bar. And then he'd pull it tighter if I didn't answer a question right.
Yeah.
And then after that was bad. And meanwhile, I got a boil in my nose, a big one.
Okay.
And I ended up with blood poisoning.
Wow.
Yeah. I had that red streak coming out and down here and down around each side of the chin rather than going up towards the brain. And it was there for about a week or 2 before it dissipated.
Oh.
So I overcame that.
Yeah.
And finally they got to where they were actually getting my elbows attached to my ankles.
Wow.
That's where they broke all the vertebrae, got the compression fractures in my lower spine.
Yeah.
My shoulders were dislocated. And I could feel them going in and out. And that was, no Novocaine or anything else. That hurt. And
Yeah.
They're ripping meat.
Yeah.
And So I went into that a couple of times. It got easier every time.
Yeah.
But so they finally put me in there, decided I was okay. Didn't need any more interrogation. I still had the blood poisoning, and I had no use of my arms from the elbow down. I couldn't feel a thing. Couldn't even move them. They just hung. And I was so bad, evidently, they had brought a doctor out to look at me. And he actually came out 2 or 3 times when they thought they were going to lose me. And I'd wake up and I'd see him. And next thing you know, I'm breathing. I could feel myself breathe. Like I didn't know it wasn't controlled breath like you're awake. All of a sudden, probably every 30 or 40 seconds, I would take a breath, a shallow breath. And I said, I'm still alive. And I was waiting for that to come back I don't know how long it took between breaths, but I knew that I was still alive. He looked at me. Generally, they came in, the same guy, old guy, he had blood all over him in his operating uniform. And they broke him away to see me. He looked at, never said a word, walked out. And so they were thinking about whether they put me, let me die or not. But I didn't. I lived by myself. And so I was there. Once I saw him and he left me, they gave me a mat, a tin cup, and one of those spoons, Chinese spoons. And so they were feeding me in the room now instead of through the bars.
Gotcha. They would come in the room
while
and
I was
feed
in
you.
the stocks. And so, and they gave me some clothes. I was still in my skivvies all that time.
Yeah.
And that's when they started feeding me. Now, it got to be so, I was so bad that they brought him in 2 or 3 times. I don't quite remember. But finally, they were able to get me outside the room. They marched me down the hall, and inside another room, they had a Christmas tree.
Wow.
It was a crude one.
Yeah.
But they had a Christmas tree. They brought me there, looked at it for a while, and took me out. That's the only thing I had that nice thing that I think they ever did.
Yeah.
I stayed with them, and somewhere along the lines they took me out of those stocks.
Yeah.
And gave me some clothes too. Everything was so darn large. It was built for. I mean, we're talking about big stuff.
Yeah, big clothes.
I mean, I think the guy had to be a gorilla. I mean, that stuff had waist that wide.
Wow. You probably lost a lot of weight you probably lost a lot of weight up until that point too.
Somewhere I was down there, my weakest point, where I was normally something 165, 170, something like that, and in good shape.
Yeah.
And I got down to we didn't have a way. Some of the guys figured out a way to weigh you. These smart kids from the academies and these science majors and engineers.
Yeah.
And I was down to about 130.
Wow.
Which I was down to 130 here too.
Yeah.
And so then they brought me to another room with a single person.
So one other person.
Yeah, and he was a Navy test pilot. And an engineer and all that stuff. And so it was all alone. And across the hall from me was another set of rooms. And there was 2 guys in the room exactly across from me. One of those guys was badly injured. And they took him out one day and they marched him down the hall and he's hollering like crazy, don't let him kill me, don't let him kill me. They did. And we never saw him again. He was a Medal of Honor winner in Vietnam. he was academy graduated. He he walked himself for a couple of weeks all around North Vietnam
Wow.
in the jungles and captured a couple of times, escaped a couple of times, and so. But he was on his last legs when they.
Yeah.
And he had a couple of broken legs to start with, then broken arm too,
Wow.
and during his bailout. So when he finally, that's the last we ever saw of him. I was there for about 2 or 3 months, and with him, you could hear while I was in stocks and all that, you could hear all the activity going on down in the outside in the courtyards.
Mhm.
And a few times there were women that were hollering and yelling like crazy. They were torturing them out there.
Mm.
What they had done, who knows? But I was surprised at that they did
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And you could hear the guys from other rooms, pilots who were shot down, that were yelling and were being tortured. I mean, I just thought, did I sound like that? You know, and it sounded like kids getting the first licking and a bad one in that cry, only in
Yeah.
deep voices. That disturbed me. I said, men don't cry like that when they're being tortured. They're not supposed to sound like that, but they did.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I did or not. Because I don't think I did much. I was able to just groan or wince.
Yeah.
I don't remember if I did or not.
Well, you had other things on your mind.
Well, yeah, well, it's the only thing. No, the next thing was, do I take another breath?
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
But I stayed 6 weeks, I guess it was, solo, and most people stayed 2 or 3 days.
Wow. So now, when you were finally put in rooms with other people, did you were obviously weren't allowed to talk or communicate very much at all?
Well, they would drag me out every now and then to give me an attitude check and threaten to put me back in that stuff.
Sure.
And I didn't do bad there. Actually, I'm pretty proud of what I did.
Yeah.
I thought I didn't go as far as everybody I talked to. At least I felt as if I didn't.
Sure.
And at the very end, I was not doing anything. And the last day before they closed the book on me, and I had been gone through the ropes, hit ropes, they picked me up, cleaned, untied me, and I gave him a big grin, like I said, I beat you. And that pissed him off.
Yeah, sure did.
But he had me in room 2 or 3 other times, and one time he punched me. I know that he never punched anybody in his life because it hurt his hand, and it didn't hurt me. And but they threatened to hang me by my elbows with my hands tied. No, by my hands behind me, and to a hook in the ceiling with a pulley on it. They were going to pull me up on that with my hands, which I think might have been. I heard that 1 or 2 guys had done that.
Yeah.
And but I didn't do that. And I knew that was going to be a bad one.
Yeah.
But they didn't. Then they brought me, stayed solo till I met Jim Hickok. He was a Navy pilot. Stayed with him for a month or 2. Moved me not to another room with about half a dozen guys in it. And we stayed there for 2 or 3 months. And then they split us all up. And I went, and that was in a sort of a courtyard.
Yeah.
From the Hanoi Hilton itself. The old prison is built afterwards. And but they moved me back into the Hanoi Hilton into a row of single rooms that with two mats on it. And in the Hilton complex, not in the big jail, but this was adjacent to the jail.
Yeah.
And so I was in there. We stayed for a couple of years together. Then when I was in there, we had a couple of guys that tried to escape or escaped,
Yeah, yeah.
and they were in the guys there, and they were communicating with the guys in the room that escaped. Now they had somebody to work with, and they took about every other guy in the whole camp and torture them, trying to break the system, what the code is, how they do it,
Yeah,
and who's in charge and all that stuff. And I wasn't involved with that. And I'm glad I wasn't. And that's where they started beating these guys with these strips of rubber tire.
Oh, yeah.
They'd cut them into inch or inch and a half strips. I mean, we're talking about 12, 14 grain. I mean, ply tires.
Yeah, jeez.
I mean, they hurt you just picking them up and just rubbing against you. They hurt. And then some guys getting a couple hundred whacks for that.
Yeah, yeah.
And if it hit you right, it broke your arm or back or whatever it would be. And one guy that was partners to the guy that led the escape, he went with him because this guy convinced him that it's your duty to do that. Code of conduct says you escape whatever you can. And it talked him into going, and of course that killed him.
Yeah.
And, that's part of that. All that stuff went along. And then we went into a big room, and somewhere along the line, I had been contacted to do secret stuff where Joe was involved.
Yeah. Can you talk about that? Is that
no, but it was
classified?
communicating with the U.S.
Yeah.
In the letters.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up to be, I had the most letters come through.
Yeah.
Go out from.
Yeah, because at some point they allowed you to write on the the cards to send home. Because meanwhile, I guess we should probably talk meanwhile.
Well, one time when I first get down, they're going to be nice with at Christmas time.
Yeah.
They picked me out to write a letter.
Okay.
I wrote a letter home, but I was living in a room with about 5 other guys.
Yeah.
I had those guys put their fingerprints on the letter with the ink, and so it showed out that there was fingerprints on there, but
yeah.
Uncle Sam never picked up on it.
Oh man.
I don't know whether you have a picture of that now or not in the file. But anyways, I did send one. They did receive it. They didn't do anything. But they'd always read the letters, and before they give them to
the Vietnamese would.
And the same thing as of course, they would. And many of the letters we wrote, they censored them black lines through it.
Yeah, anything they didn't like, they'd pass out.
But I was lucky. I was able to get a lot through without them correcting it.
No.
Sometimes when we wrote those letters, it was very difficult to put it in the English language the way the alphabets were. I had to learn 9 different alphabets, then memorize them.
Yeah.
And use whichever one is indicated from the letter that I had to write back.
Yeah.
And I did that without any trouble. I was surprised. And that's a lot of letters to remember.
Yeah.
And so one time I was out there, and they stuck me in the courtyard outside in a chair, and then they had an officer about 4 feet from me watching me read a letter. I decoded it right then and there in front of his eyes. And they never knew.
Wow. And you're also at the same time saying messages to home.
Well, so it's a letter that
you're having to
write the letter, but you write it in code.
Yeah.
So they have to encode it.
So you're thinking on multiple levels.
Well, what happens? Joe writes a letter. It goes to the intelligence. Mm-hmm. They send it back decoded, and then she writes it again, sends it to me. I write her letter back. They take a copy of the letter, decode it, and give her the original. And
wow. And that was so for the first 2 years, they had you down as MIA. They didn't know.
Well, they didn't know. When I got shot down, they put me down. I was missing in action for 18 months.
Okay.
But when I when they said that I got shot down, very shortly thereafter, my mother died.
Hmm.
It was too much for her
Yeah.
because she was hoping I did. She had cousins and nephews and nieces that were left in Poland that didn't want to come over to the U.S. because they were married and had families, and so a lot of them were killed during the war. None of them were ever gassed. They were just put in concentration camps because they weren't Jews.
So when did they find out that you were still alive?
The
U.S.
I'd say about 18 months after I.
How did they find that out?
The name was released.
Oh, I see.
No, nobody. Joe might have. They didn't. One guy that was captured and was sent home early. That's another story completely.
Yeah.
And he says, I think I saw him. And that's about as close as we got. And of course, Uncle Sam, everybody says, we don't know for sure. That's a maybe.
Yeah.
And a thin one to start with.
Sure.
I was going from one building to the next. I don't know how I got to be alone. And I ran into that guy that did the interrogations.
Oh, yeah?
He pulled me aside and he says, you know, I don't know. You're the only one. I don't know whether you're smart or dumb. And that's what he said. That's all he said.
This is just while you were wandering around some of the
Well,
prison,
I
right?
wasn't wandering. I was on my way somewhere, and the guard was not beside me, but probably had me in view. That's the only time I can ever remember. I don't remember if there's anybody around it, but I don't know what that meant, but that was funny.
Interesting.
And that, more interesting than anything else. And he says, out of all of the prisoners, he says, you're the only one I have been able to figure out.
Well, that's probably maybe a good thing.
All
right. Well, we left off at you were about to. They were buttering you up. It sounds like they were giving you some more food and announcing over the radio.
They kept us up to date what was going on. That was fully intention. And somewhere in there, they announced that the war was over. And they celebrated with fireworks display. And it was a big one. It was a good one.
The Vietnamese did?
Yes, they did.
Wow.
They didn't say they won the war.
Yeah,
the war's
they said
over.
It was over, yeah.
And that was interesting. But that was a nice one.
Wow.
It wasn't like the president's, but it was pretty near like we had across the lake. Wow. Although I think we had bigger ones. But that was a good display. It was about a half hour long.
And so they ended up putting you guys on a bus.
Right. They've did their last in speculation of our bodies. And we lined up in the bus and got in the bus, and they knew what bus we were going to be on. We got there, and they put us in the order that they wanted us to be in, which wasn't. It's how they put us on the bus, I guess it helps. And we stood, we weren't the first ones they processed, but the rest of the guys, we could see them going up to a desk. It was a long desk that had 2 or 3 officers from each side on the desk. And one in the center, I think it was one of our guys in the center. And they read off the names. We went up there and shook hands. If they formally, individually gave us back to our guys, and they accepted us. We get off there, and the plane was parked. We didn't have to probably go 50 feet to the airplane towards C-130 with stewardess, military stewardess up there, and there were about 6, 7
Yeah.
seats abreast, a good size one. I think probably KC-130 or what. I have no idea what the name of those things were at that time. And we took off. The minute we took off and got beyond the where they could shoot us into open water, we all cheered. Hooray, that's it. We knew that we were on our way home.
Well, backtracking a little bit, because we might have lost some of this bit. You were talking about when they put you on the bus and you left the prison, that was the first time you got to see outside.
Since the bombing. I went a couple of times they brought us to look at a museum.
Huh.
And they brought me to a dentist at one time, didn't do anything. Yes, they did. They fixed one tooth. Now, what they used for equipment is something else. They had a treadle drill.
Okay.
Pumped the treadle drill, and he just ground out half the tooth or whatever it is and put something in it, and it lasted me till I got home. But it was funny. It was a slow rotation on that thing, and they used the biggest. It ground out the most it could in one circle.
And they didn't numb you or anything. They just went to it.
No.
And but it was pretty bombed outside. Outside the prison, everything was when they were bombing it while you were in there.
It looked to us that they had really done a lot very close to Hanoi, if not in Hanoi. They knew where the prison. We knew where the prison was, and they kept away.
Sure.
So we might have had a few bombs land close, but nowhere dangerously close. The closest I saw was with that big gun right outside the wall.
Wow.
I couldn't see any flash of light. I just heard the noise, and that thing quit. But it did awful. It really opened my eyes.
Sure.
How that wriggled the wall.
Wow. Man. So they got you on the plane. You guys got out where they couldn't fire, and you were home free. Did they send you to Thailand first or Japan? How did you guys?
Went to the Philippines.
Philippines, okay.
So we get off the Philippines. We get a small physical. I met a cousin who I didn't know of Joe's.
Yeah.
I'd never seen him before, but they called me over, and he and his wife talked to me. And he was a sergeant in personnel. I convinced him he should be an officer.
Oh, yeah.
And he became an officer. He retired as a major.
Wow.
And there is a big difference.
Yeah.
And so that was that. We had good conversation, a nice visit, a couple-hour visit. And then went back to where we stayed in the hospital. We had our rooms. We had a big steak dinner that evening. Found out I was officially a colonel.
Wow. Yeah, because they promoted you twice.
Yeah, and I never knew it. And they did that to 3 guys in prison. One was a squadron mate of mine who I knew in Alaska, and when he went to pilot training, and he was at the base at Karat when I was at Karat, and I remember when he got shot down. He didn't get shot down. What had happened, they were diving in a 16-ship formation, and one of the guys, now 2 of those guys were my people in my flight. I owned them, and one was a separate one. The other one that was in my flight, I knew very well, got hit and veered off, and he went into the 2 aircraft beside him.
Oh, man.
And so we lost 3 then. They all made it out alive.
Wow.
And one of them was somewhere around my age and evidently was doing very well in the Air Force. And he got promoted ahead of everybody else, like I did. And that we were the only 3 out of all the major POWs that were promoted.
Wow. So So when you guys were sent back to the U.S.,
Uh,
how was that homecoming?
Fabulous. It was big when we landed at Clark Air Force Base,
Mhm.
and they had everybody and his brother waving flags and welcome us home. And as we come down the ramp, they read off our name and what we did, and we were let go in groups of about the time we shot down. The guys that were shot down much earlier went home first. Then they had we were in the third group that were released.
Wow.
And there was a group after us. And so that was very good. And then we took off after a couple of days and physical at the Philippines, we took off and went back to the U.S. and come in over the Great Golden Gate Bridge and landed at Travis Air Force Base. And then that's when we met the families. But coming off the airplanes was just like,
That's where.
yeah.
This
And
photo.
the crowd, everybody was going wild. And they treated us well. They put us back to our family. We had our own area for the whole family.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent the next 6 or 8 days having dental work done.
Yeah, yeah.
And meanwhile, after that was over, we got tickets to Disneyland. I went down to BX and I got me some clothes. And we flew down to LA. And of course, we stuck out like sore thumbs because who got on the airplane? Nowadays, they wear casual clothes.
Yeah.
And I got a beautiful leather-looking sports jacket, and one thing I do want to add, the clothes that they gave us to come home with.
Yeah.
The shoes were paper.
Wow.
I mean, they look good.
Yeah.
But they were paper. Everything was as cheap as you make.
Huh.
I don't know how they made some of it. It was so cheap.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
But we got home.
They just gave you whatever.
Yeah.
Just to get
I
you
don't
there.
know what I did with the clothes, and I don't care. And okay, while we were at Travis, and they took a picture of my back, and the doctor, that was in charge of down there, he was the bone doctor. What do they call those things? Orthopedic?
Oh.
Yeah. They're orthopedic.
Yeah.
And he looked at my x-rays of my back. He says, you must have been gone super fast when you bailed out. He says, I've seen this many times. You have the same average if someone bailed out pretty near going to Mach 1. And I says, no. I said, I was probably not flying when I bailed out. The airplane was probably about to stall out. Oh, no. And
Wow.
we had a little discussion right there, and I let it go, but that's not what happened.
No.
But he went by the x-rays.
Sure.
And that's what it looked like. So I had a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And so there, and they gave us, each one of us was assigned a doctor. They pulled doctors in from everywhere. We had our own doctor until we cleared the physicals, and that was that.
How was that? That healing process was probably pretty extensive.
For what? My back?
For everything.
I never knew it.
Really?
I never knew I was hurt. They brought me out of the torture, stuck me in the stocks, but the bed was concrete.
Mm-hmm.
I got out of the stocks. I was on a concrete bed. The only thing I had as a mattress was a little bamboo mat. That was our mattress the whole time in jail.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that I was hurt at all. I was able to walk without a problem. I did everything without a problem. And when my arms healed up, I thought, sure, I'd have trouble forever. I thought they'd cut my arms off at the elbows, but they didn't.
Yeah.
And recovered from everything.
Yeah.
And now it's showing up 30 years later.
Yeah.
And which the best part of my life, when I came home, I was intact.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't raise my head. It hurt because they broke my neck also. But that was a problem. It ached all the time, but I was used to aches.
Yeah. By that point.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that wasn't a big deal. Right now, I have the same thing. I can't drink in a belly glass that I have to raise my head to get the rest of what's in the glass. I'm going to have a straight wall glass.
Yeah.
But that's all right.
Yeah.
I really don't. I forget how far back it was when I started losing everything. Not that many years ago, but I did everything I wanted to do without any problems. I could walk forever.
Yeah. Well, you hunted a lot when you came back?
Oh, I hunted as much as I could during seasons. Yeah, we would go out to eastern Montana, and I bird hunted everywhere. I bought a new dog, a bird female. The one I had before was old when I come home, and she was a good dog. She pointed a few pheasants for me, and retrieved him nicely. Never been trained to do that. And she was about 9 or 10 when that happened. Had her a few years. I didn't hunt her anymore because I got new pups and trained that. And everywhere I could go hunting, I went. I fished everywhere that was in reason. And we bought some property and started working on the property, making the ranch. It was sort of a farm to start with. There was an old building as a GI building. They bought that intact as a barracks building from the base and cart that up there, put it on some concrete block. And sure enough, that's where I put the house when we tore that down. And they had just built a couple of ponds up there, and they had bulldozed out all the trees and everything out to make that hole for that pond. And now all that stuff was around the edges, big stuff. And we sawed it all up and carted it on and took it to the dump and burned it up there. That was all physical work.
Yeah.
We had the irrigation ditch that had streams flowing through our yard and down into the ponds that they built. Got the Uncle Sam at that time did the engineered your pond.
Yeah.
And told us who to use to bulldoze it. Oh. And that time, and they paid for all that.
So you were able to get around and do a lot after.
I did it all.
After. Well,
I look forward to doing everything and loved every bit of it. Could not wait to get outside to do something. And never in my life have I been that active. I was always lazy. I didn't like to do anything, but I look forward to this.
Wow.
And we did it for years.
Yeah.
Now, the irrigation ditch that we had water rights from this stream to our property, but it had to go around a hill. So steep all the way, better than 45 degrees. Wow. And the people that had before had put that stream in and had a pond there, but they had a pond by the house and that little waterfall looked pretty nice. But they had to go clean it out every day because branches and twigs would fall in it. Something would dam it up and stuff like that. And so I did that thing twice a day for years.
Jeez.
And then I decided I was going to pipe it.
Yeah.
And so we piped it around that mountain. Had to repair my own dams, and one place that was so washed out, it was a big canyon, and from what it probably was 50 feet from one piece of pipe to the opposite side, and I had to fill that in, but rocks and build all concrete structure on either side, and got a bunch of 12-inch steel pipe and laid that in. Had to get one piece that was tall, long enough.
Yeah.
Some guy had a bunch of them, and I got them all, and I built that pipe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aquifer or whatever you call it, and got the water down. And then I hired little Steve, my second son, and his friend to pipe out dig out the ditch so that we could bury a pipe in that thing. And I let them go for a couple of days, and they come home exhausted. And I went out to inspect their work, and every bit of that dirt that they were taking out of that ditch, they threw downhill.
Oh man.
And so we had to teach them to throw it uphill so you can cover the pipe next time. And,
well, so
they just weren't thinking ahead.
Oh, yeah. So I also wanted to ask about the mental stuff coming home, because a lot of POWs, it sounds like, had a lot of people that came home from war. From that war,
I took over like before.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any lapse of memory or that, or communicating problems. Yeah. I never did like crowds and people. Yeah. I still didn't like them. I'm a very shy person as a rule. Mm. I don't like other people looking at me. Yeah. And,
well, I appreciate you doing this interview.
Yeah, this is why I never let it be known that I was a POW.
Well, they wanted to make a movie of your experience.
Well, they did, but this is a movie of Joe wrote the book.
Yeah, yeah. And Joe wrote a book about it.
There was a woman that was president of one of the big movie companies. Mm-hmm. She liked Joe's book and wanted to make a movie. Mm-hmm. Before they made the movie, she either retired or was fired. Mm. And they got a new president of the company. And we're talking about big companies.
Yeah, yeah.
And they decided they didn't want to do that. Wow. And so we didn't get it done.
Interesting.
Pardon me?
That's interesting. They took some of your elements of your experience.
Well, then they said, okay, we'll make a movie, but we'll change it to what we want.
Yeah.
And they tried to make Joe into a trollop, or whatever you want. And the kids, they wanted the way they thought people were at that time, a lot of them were, but they wanted something that would sell.
Yeah.
And so we refused that. I think they offered quite a few $1,000s to make the movie, but we had to sign away all our rights.
Yeah. Well, I think they still ended up using some of those elements from your experience and
I don't know,
of the Hollywood movies.
And I don't know whose movie they did. Yeah. I don't know that.
Yeah. So by the end of it, you are currently one of the most decorated military men of U.S. history at this point.
Yeah, I don't know where list I stand, but I did get quite more medals than I ever thought. I got because a lot of the stuff that I did was secret.
Yeah.
They didn't write up what it was for. They just gave me the big medals. And as it was, I'd had a lot of medals.
Yeah.
And on the wall here, basically, I had 5 Bronze Stars. Oh. That's a lot of Bronze Stars. Never heard of that. Yeah. And I don't know why I got them. I had 2 Purple Hearts. I know that. I had 8 Air Medals, I believe. Wow. Now, they were pretty easy to come by. For every 10 missions you flew, you get an Air Medal. And I picked up a couple otherwise beside that to give me 8 of them. I got 7 Distinguished Flying Cross. That's a lot of time, a lot of medals. And then I had 2 Silver Stars for the missions I flew. And then they gave the Air Force, I got the highest Air Force medals, 3 Legion of Merits. And so out of the top medals, other than the Distinguished Cross, the Medal of Honor, I picked up 6 or 7 of the next in line.
Yeah.
And which is a lot. And plus the medals I had from before. You're in certain areas at the time there was fighting going on, and I had a Vietnam medal. Basically everything I got was with a V for valor, and nobody knew that I got. They came out different times, so no big deal. And so nobody counted them.
Yeah.
And so nobody knew, not only a few.
Yeah.
And so this time on the VA here, they looked at my military record over the VA.
Sure.
And they were surprised and really put back a lot to see what medals I have.
Yeah.
And one of the officials out here at the VA clinic thought that I should be named after a new clinic that they had just built, a very nice military VA clinic. And so he talked to somebody for the senator, and who was evidently his right-hand helper.
Yeah.
Not an elected official, but and so the one that goes through him before it goes through to the senator. And so they thought, they looked at how many I had. They thought I should have the Medal of Honor, but I didn't do anything that I know of that would earn that. So that doesn't disappoint me. And finally, they'll get some kind of recognition, but they won't give me any. They won't put my name on that clinic, which they wanted to do, because they don't do that until you die.
Yeah.
So they just said they have my record in their holding, and we'll see what happens. And
well, I think it's probably time to go into the question period. I just have, I think, 4 here that we're going to go over. So you can take your time with the questions.
Okay, go ahead.
So the first one we have is from Steve. Do you still keep any hate or anger towards your captors?
No.
Why?
I don't know. I was never ever angry at anybody to speak of. I just took it all in stride. I didn't. I knew, but how do you express anger? I didn't go yelling and screaming and threaten to do this or that. I don't know what I would have done if I met one of them in a dark alley at night. I don't know that, but no, I didn't.
All right. I don't know if I'm actually going to ask that one.
I do want to add that I tell you that, in some of the rooms we had 4 people in the rooms, and everybody liked to play cards or this, that, and everything else in order to pass the time. Well, I never was that kind of a person. I hated games, and I was not affected that much because I would daydream of all the things I did in my life, and especially all the little things I did hunting and fishing when I was a kid. And I did enough of them where I look forward to it, and I didn't want to play. And they all got mad at me because I wouldn't play games with them.
Yeah.
Well, to me, that was the worst thing they could have done to me.
Why is that? Just because it buying into it, or
that was hard to take.
Yeah.
To do that, and it was like torture to me to have to do that.
Yeah.
Where I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I did something I liked. And so I daydreamed all the way through. And I think a lot of people I know that it would have, if they did that, it would have affected them. I hope this hadn't, but nobody told me it did yet.
Yeah. All right. I got one from Tom here. He's talking about after the war, have people's view on the Vietnam War changed from when you got back to now, looking back, just overall opinions of the war?
No, at the time I thought that we had to stop the spread of communism. And the way I thought, and the way it was, some people understood it to be, they were going to eat up country after country, and which they had started to do. And communism was going to spread through Southeast Asia and all the way down to Indonesia and all that. And we were there to stop it, the spread of it. Not so much to beat them, it's just to discourage them or keep them from spreading. And that was what our job, and I still think that's what our job was. And that's what I thought we were fighting for.
Sure.
And I didn't have anything picked out, or I didn't hate them. But,
all right, and then the last one I'm going to ask is one of those I don't think it's really appropriate. Is Mark's asking about when you came home to the U.S., was the treatment of POWs different, better, worse than regular enlisted men that came home during the war that weren't POWs?
I don't know. We were a big deal because so much on the news.
Oh, yeah.
And they sent the airplanes out and they had reception for us. And it was much better than the average person coming home after a tour duty.
Yeah, sure.
And no, we were celebrities. And
even with all the everything that was going on.
Yeah, no.
And the dislike of the war.
Well, there were some people that did, some people that didn't, but the ones that thought we were doing good were the ones that came out.
Yeah.
And the other ones, we didn't make it matter to them. But we had plenty of people that were on our side and thought we were something.
Did you have anything else you wanted to mention? Because I think we're here at the end of it.
No, I was very lucky to be promoted early. I didn't try to get medals, but what I did earned them. And then I got these extra medals. Evidently, I earned them, but the job that I was doing secretly was immediate death if I got caught, or enough where a lot of people would have got hurt worse. And I never thought of that. I just did it, and I wasn't worried about getting caught. I would think about it now. Hey, that was dangerous, but I just thought I should do that, and I did it, and it ended up good. And but I never knew my mother died. And of course, she couldn't put that in letters because I think they'd have gone to lengths. The Vietnamese would have gone to lengths to make sure I suffered as a result of it.
Sure. Yeah.
And no, they just most of the letters back and forth. I miss you. I did this, did that. Nothing. Completely empty of anything other than the fact that say hi to the kids. And that was it. Just so many lines and so many words.
Well, yeah, you've had quite a life.
Yeah. I don't fret, worry, or it hasn't bothered me to got shot down and been a prisoner and went through with what I went through physically. Because if I thought about it that much, I'm sure
Yeah.
I wouldn't be a normal person.
Yeah.
But I have lived such a fun life for me.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's affected my family, but maybe I had too much fun and not enough for them, or what it was. But I've done things, and I tried to keep the family in mind.
Mm-hmm.
We bought the perfect place in the ranch, and did all the work as a family together to try, and we did a lot. Had made it into a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Kids like that worked hard. Took the boys hunting all the time, and or fishing, and they were included in my life. And the only thing is, I never. I don't know whether the girls resent it, but I spent more time with the boys than I did the girls. I don't know if I got shot down, and it would have been different. I don't know. That was programmed in me, I guess, because, and I thought of them. But I didn't go to many of their basketball games or stuff like that. But they weren't doing it in that.
Well, yeah, 6 years.
In those days.
Yeah, 6 years is right there in that
Yeah.
period of life. It's a long time.
Yeah. But when I grew up and going to school, nobody went with the girls. They had their own little field hockey team, and that was it. At least in New England where I grew up. But it was all the boys' sports.
Well, I think that's probably about it. Yeah, I really just, I don't have enough words to say how much I appreciate you taking the time to do this. And I know it's what turned out a little longer recording than we had planned on, but
I had nothing else going on.
And your story is just a piece of JoJo's book, which is The Other Side of the Coin. And she tells some of the other stories as well of her and the kids.
And Hope to Kiss a Cow.
Yeah.
That was supposed to capture everything that we did at the ranch.
Yeah.
And that was good.
Yeah. Very good. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to Trail North
welcome, and
Podcast.
I hope it all comes out properly.
Yeah, I think we'll manage one way or another. All right.